All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in NorCal Sports Network Sunday night. A lot going on today. We'll get to some of that. We'll be talking to the Giants a little bit early on, and then we'll cover the NFL playoff games. But welcome on in, Lowe's. Hey, guys, and we are sponsored by Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group. If you have any legal issues you need help with, check out the link in the description or give them a call. Chapman Law Group at 415-13-9483. There they are right there. Give them a call. Chapman Law Group. All right, guys. Welcome on in. Let's get the band. Band is ready to roll tonight. They're excited over some exciting football games. All right, but we're going to talk baseball first, guys. Giants have already signed, not much, Willy and Justin Verlander. You saw the thumbnail. Is that all? Is that all? What say you, Lowe's? Are they done, or is this a situation where they make a move, there's a trade? I think a trade might be coming, but that's me. What do you think?
I don't know. It's hard to say. My gut tells me they're going to make like one more kind of C+ move, like for some player that has been bad for the last few years, and they're hoping to catch lightning on them. It'll be a veteran. It won't be a young guy. You know,
this guy.
Yeah. You know, the Giants have a prototypical player, like usually between the ages of 28 and 33. Probably have not been good the last few years. You smell a trade, huh? I guess on the due factor, you would think they're due to pull off a trade because it's been so long since they've done anything meaningful that route. But
yeah. So I don't know what they do. Hey, guys, by the way, hang in there. We are going to be doing a giveaway tonight. We've got another shirt right here. I think we'll do two giveaways. We hit 4,500, and we also have over 1 million views on YouTube. And that's a big thing, guys. I didn't realize that hitting 1 million is a big deal on YouTube, but they sent us a little congratulatory thing, and we're going to give away one of these shirts tonight.
Nice.
I still owe George Curry one. Got to get his off in the mail. So tomorrow's a holiday, I think. So probably go out Tuesday, hopefully. But and I think we'll give away some tickets. We got some Giants tickets for upcoming game. So we've got one. We've already had two winners for the tickets. And we'll do another couple of tickets for a game. I believe it is in April or May. Not sure. We'll look at that. So producer Ryan, I think he's out there. What do they got to do to enter in for the giveaway? What do they say? Do they do giveaway? Do they say tickets? Do they say Ollie, auction free? What are we saying to get entered into the? Ryan could do all the stuff. I didn't see it in the chat, so I'm counting on producer Ryan so we can get this done and it doesn't go long into the night. And we will get to that question, Clayton. Let us first stay on track here with baseball, and then we will do that. Giants, I mean, if you guys didn't catch my video out earlier today on the Dodgers signing Tanner Scott, that is out there. Did another one that I guess didn't go out today, so it'll be released tomorrow. That is this good for baseball? All right, Dodgers baseball. So I will give you a little clue. I saw Lowe shake his head a little bit. I'm maybe of the opposite. Not that it's bad. I don't think it's great for baseball. I don't necessarily know if it's bad for baseball, because when you see the video, you'll understand. I did a breakdown of all the owners, what their net worth are and what their revenues are. And some teams are spending only 35 to 40% of their revenue on payroll, where the Dodgers are spending 67%. The Giants are spending like 52%. Steve Cohn spent 102%. He spent all of payroll on everything he made. So, look, I don't feel sorry for any of these owners. They're worth billions, and they should put up some of their money. If you're going to buy a team, and you're going to buy a team with a fan base that is hungry to win. Now, Mike Ilitch of the Detroit Tigers, pathetic. He spends like $100 million on payroll. They won't even go sign Alex Bregman. They could have him. The Tigers are right there. They could have went out and signed pitching too, and they would have been a legitimate World Series contender if they would have went out and signed Bregman and say, Snell, Burns. Who else could they have signed? I mean, Flaherty's still out there. He'll help them. He's going to hurt them. But this is ridiculous.
I just kind of think that, let's just say the Pittsburgh Pirates were trying to get Tanner Scott. If them and the Dodgers offer the same amount of money, where's Tanner Scott going? If the Pirates offered 10 more million, where would Tanner Scott go? If they are, how much more would a small market team have to pay to get a player? And that is my problem, is from a business point of view. You know me, I'm not crazy about the business side of things. I'm interested in the quality of baseball. I'm interested in level competition. And that's why I say that this is not great for baseball, because small market teams and even medium market teams, they just cannot compete with the Dodgers right now. I mean, they have so much to offer. I mean, this is sad. Like, there's fires going on all over LA.
Right.
Not exactly like a great air, like, and more fires will happen and will come. They always talk about California taxes keeping, professional athletes from coming here. Not when the Dodgers are concerned. So,
yeah. And they defer a lot of it. So when they get it in their home state, once they start receiving it, it's with the state they live in is where. So the Dodgers have found a creative way around the tax. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tanner Scott, did he defer 71 million? I don't know. Somebody tell me in the chat. I read it and I wasn't sure if it was satire or not. Somebody said that he deferred 71 million. I'm not sure if that's true. But the way I look at it, Los, though, there's 26 jobs. That's it. There's 26 jobs on a roster. There's 40-man roster. The Dodgers, look, everybody wants to go to the Dodgers, right? Because they want to play for a winner. There's no cap, but they can't get everybody.
It seems like they can.
Well, there's guys out there that they're not going to get Bregman. They're not going to get Alonso. They're not going to get Santander. They're obviously not going after Flaherty. Teams should be going out and getting them. I mean, these teams are worth so much money. It's unbelievable, Los. Their revenues are over 400 million, and they're spending 100, 150. In the Giants' case, they're spending a little over 200 million in revenue, but their revenue and their ballpark's paid for. So what people don't understand when it comes to marketing, if you actually put a competitive, compelling, exciting product out there, you'll actually create more revenue. Your ballpark's paid for. You won't have to sell tickets for $7 or $5.01 for this giveaway. Half the Giants' cheeks in the seats last year were on discounted prices.
Yeah.
They're not paying full price. That's because nobody wants to go see their boring product. So why don't you use your head and go get some guys people want to, The last time I understood and checked, sports, kind of like Hollywood, it's entertainment. We go to be entertained. Were you not entertained today in front of your tube watching 2 great NFL playoff games? I mean, we were entertained. That's why we watch. So
Buffalo, small market, small area, and they're competitive.
Well, there is a hard cap. I don't know. We'll talk about
There's the difference.
And is baseball, I suggested in my video this morning when I recorded it that maybe instead of having you got to have a floor somewhere. And I think the floor might need to be that teams have to spend a certain percentage of their revenue from the previous year. So if you had $395 million of revenue the year before, then you got to spend $197.5 on salaries. And if you're one of those teams that's doing it like the Marlins at $80 million and the A's, come on. I think you don't necessarily have to have a cap, but that sport will be much more competitive if there's a floor. I think they should have to spend a certain percentage. And whether you put it at 50 or 55, I mean, the Giants are spending 52 and they were a little over 200. Teams just gotta start spending. And you know what? If you had a commissioner that was tough, he would enforce it. Yeah, every team in 23 got $100 million. Only reason the Giants spent so much in 24. Well, yeah, I don't know, but they're still over $400 million. The Giants.
Yeah, it's tough. I remember how crazy everybody went when Durant came to the Warriors, and the whole country went bananas that a team so talented could get the best player as far as a free agent goes. And I don't hear as much uproar. Well, I take that back. If you look at social media, there's quite a few people that are pretty frustrated with what's going on with the Dodgers. There's a lot of people that are saying they're not going to watch baseball this year, which is easier said than done. You can type that in a tweet. Are you actually going to do it? Probably not. But there's anger out there for sure. I think we all see it.
Yeah. And Ryan says that Lakeland pays $200 million a year in luxury tax. Yeah, he does. Dodgers are paying luxury tax, but it doesn't matter. They're still making money. And these guys that say their goal is to break even, what they mean by break even? What do they mean by break even? Because they're taking in way more revenue than they are putting out payroll. And I understand there's other expenses involved with the ball club. You have all the front office, and you have the people underneath them, and the analytics department, and all of the cleaning people, whatever, everything you can imagine that goes into salaries. There's probably, I don't know how many millions of dollars that have to go out to pay everybody that's associated with the team, your scouts and your coaches and all of that. So I understand all that. Yes, I did see that, Senior. That was hilarious. In fact, I'm going to play it right now. I got to pull this up. This was pretty funny today, guys. Eric just put this out a little while ago. Let me show you this tweet here. This is actually, let me see if I can pull it up here. Oops, I'm working on it. This was actually creative here. All right, here we go. Let me bring this up. Check this out from Eric. Eric put this together from Giants Sports Talk Live. Check this out. San Francisco Giants heavy lifting. First day back in the gym.
That's good.
Oh, that's great. Let's look at this one more time. Check this out. This is funny. Watch it fall. Boom. Bang. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, good job, Eric. So, it's got volume? Senior said? Oh, okay. I didn't realize I must have missed it the first time with volume myself. Okay, hold on here. Let me.
It's cool to play volume. No B.
Here we go.
I ain't as good as I once was, but I was good as I ever was. Man, you like it.
5 times. And they got to be full.
Ooh. Hell no. Get this shit.
Oh, that's hilarious. Once was good.
Braden Perry wants to know what we think if we get Grichuk. I personally don't think anything at all. What about you?
Grichuk? Who wants Grichuk or is asking?
He's asking, what do we think if the Giants get Grichuk? Nothing.
I would rather play. You know what? I'd rather see Wade Meckler out in the outfield than Grichuk. And I'm not really crazy about Wade Meckler, okay? But please, let's not bring in another 33-year-old guy and have him take bats away from the young kids. All right, let's stop this. Yes, Hiroku, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Hope the Giants just let Matos and Fitzgerald get the chance to win their jobs. Exactly. Just let them play. Let the best man win out there. George Curry, I see. Where's George? Ryan Lake. Oh, this Lakeup doesn't have the talent evader to make the right signings and trades to stay relevant. Okay, yeah. Just going through here. What else we got? Yes, Matos should start.
You know, the golden era in baseball was probably the 60s and a little bit into the 70s. The Yankees had pretty much a hell of a run where they were up there almost every year. At that time where it's nothing like, there was no internet then at that time, and I don't think they published it in the newspapers about what people were making. But is it safe to assume that they were the highest paid team in baseball at that time with the highest, amount of stars? I would think so.
Say that one more time.
The Yankees in the 60s and 70s when they were very relevant, do you think that they had the highest payroll in baseball at that time?
Oh yeah, they definitely did.
Okay. It's nothing like, it's not publicated. We don't know exactly how much Mickey Mantle was making and Maris and all those guys, but they were stars. So, I get it. The stars obviously deserve more money, this and that. But again, baseball is the one sport where you can put an all-star team together, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to succeed or they're going to win a championship, maybe than some of the other sports. But nevertheless, it's quite frustrating that other teams just don't get some of these marquee players.
Yes. Ryan asked, what can the Giants do to compete this year if they really wanted to? Okay. This is why I say they really aren't interested in competing, because at least for this year, okay, I think if I'm looking at the tea leaves correctly, it appears to me Posey is trying to see what the young guys can do, like Fitzgerald and Matos and maybe McRae, and he's going to just make room for Eldridge at some point later in the year. I don't see this as – I see this as like, okay, let's see maybe what even Luciano might be able to do. Maybe, I'm shocked that they never gave Luciano reps at first base. When you've got Wade and Flores, why you wouldn't give a young 23-year-old kid all offseason to learn first base. Because, Los, think about it. If you could play shortstop, you could play first base.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You got to have range, much more range at shortstop. You got to be able to pick balls. You got to be able to backhand. Come on. I don't know why the Giants are trying him in the outfield when there's no spot for him in the outfield. So it just doesn't make sense. But if the Giants really, really wanted to compete, first of all, they could have went out and signed Corbin Burns. They lost that deal. Okay. You signed Adames. You could have gone out and got Anthony Santander. You could have gotten one of Pete Alonso or Alex Bregman. And if you had got Santander, he gives you the left-handed bat because he's a switch hitter. But you desperately need another left-handed bat with some pop. And you could, and they're still out there. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because they don't want to go over the tax. But I could show you a way to drop $40 million just like that and make room. You could drop 9 for Yaz. You could drop 4 for Murphy. You can drop 10 between Wade and Flores. That's what did I do? 9, 14, 4, 13. That's $23 million right there. You could move off of Tyler Rogers. That's $11 million. That's $34 million. Okay. What else could you move off of on this team?
Tom Murphy.
Already got him in there. But I just moved $34 million just like that. And I'm not missing a beat with any of those guys missed on. Okay.
And I think that's where part of the pessimism lies with us, is because like the Giants can do something. They can let go of some average to below average players, free up some money, and quite frankly, sign better players. But if you insist on keeping these players that are not that good, and we're just hoping that they're going to catch lightning in a bottle, then that doesn't serve for much optimism. They can do a few accounting moves. And like you said, get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy, whether it's trade or just releasing them outright and bringing in some, better talent to compete.
Right. We got Robert Rothberg in here, Mr. Eternal Optimist, Robert Rothberg, that says this team, where did he say it? I should have started on here. He said, like only Robert can. We love you, Robert. We love Robert Rothberg. Why are people so pessimistic? The Giants have a respectable roster.
Well, the word you say is respectable. Okay, not necessarily a winning roster, not necessarily a contending roster. We've talked about the Giants being respectable and average and okay for years. I think the fan base is tired of being respectable. Oh, the Giants are respected. That doesn't mean they're feared. Nobody fears the Giants right now. And that's where we want to get back to. We want to get back to the point where the Giants have more than a respectable roster. They have a lot of unknowns and maybes and question marks. And when you go into a season and you go down each position and there's a lot of what ifs and maybes and possiblies, that's not a high endorsement for a very good team. You want to know what you have at each position. And if you go down the roster, I don't know if you have that.
Yeah, well, I actually agree with Robert. I think the Giants do have a respectable roster. A respectable Pacific Coast League roster.
Set up. Hang in there, Robert.
Yeah. Hey, I actually did think the Giants last year, when they broke camp for opening day, I thought the roster in Sacramento was better than the Giants opening day roster. You can't convince me otherwise. I think it was. I think there was, they had guys down there that could have, they actually, an exhibition game, yeah, but they had some good hitters and they had speed more than the Giants did. That's for sure.
If San Francisco and Sacramento had a 7-game series last year, or a 7-game series, it would go 7 games. Put it that way. It would not be 4-0 big league ballpark, big league team, I should say. And we'll see how it breaks this year. Like, if they do the same philosophy they always do, which is like lean towards the veterans and a lot of the young talent is down in Sacramento, then I'm putting 200 on Sacramento plus 160 for the series.
Hey, thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. All right.
Thanks, bud.
Maybe it's time for me to go on one of my Giants rants. Do I need to go on a Giant rant? I'm not even feeling that great. I got a head cold.
Nah. Save that rant for when you got more energy and it's closer to spring training.
I could really let it fly, guys. I could let it fly with the Giants and telling you, okay, guys, to enter the giveaway, like the video, comment giveaway. Giveaway will be at the end of this show, which is going to be coming up at any time. Okay. So make sure. Oh no, you got that thing off. Doggone it. Take away, Los. I got this dog that's got a bad tail. I gotta tend to this guy. So I'll be right back.
Can I go into football? Or are we still staying on baseball?
Yeah, let's finish up with baseball real quick here.
Okay.
Guys, we'll just tell you this. The Giants, if you want to look at a team that is, how can I say this without sounding so pessimistic? But I just got to lay it out there, guys. They are a team that is going to struggle a lot to score runs again. You've basically added Adames. That's it. From a team that struggled mightily last year. Okay. So I think this team is, I did a show the other night that said, how could the Giants win 90 games? And that was like, if everything was perfect, guys overperformed, everybody not having injuries hit them. Other teams have injury bug when the Giants play them, and everything just works out perfectly. But I also said they're more likely to lose 90 games than they are to win. But I do think they'll probably finish right around 500. I think they're about an 80-win team, guys. That's what I see the Giants. Robert Rothberg struggle. You're adding Adames and Lee. Yes, but you lost Blake Snell, probably the best pitcher in the game the second half. You're losing Blake Snell. Conforto did contribute.
Yep.
So he was a contributor. He hit 20 home runs. I don't know how many other Giants guys are going to hit 20 home runs next year. So
the Dodgers got better and Arizona got better.
Correct.
So they play those two teams quite a bit. San Diego probably is the same, but the two best teams in the division got better. I don't know if the Giants got better because, like Dan said, you add 2 and you subtract 3. So, I mean, you're still, I don't think, a better team.
Well, if you guys think the Giants got better, let me just ask you this. What do you think the Giants last year was their over-under? Do you guys remember it?
It was to start the year?
Yeah.
Wasn't it 81, 82? It was right at 500.
83 and a half after they signed Snell.
Okay.
Look at what it is this year, guys. 79 and a half. The odds makers think they're 4 games worse. And the odds makers have been pretty right on the last couple years with the Giants. So, I mean, they missed in 21 like everybody did. But, Robert, the people don't look at the Giants and see juggernaut.
No.
Yeah, Aaron, you're right. They're lucky they don't play teams 19 times anymore in the division. That would be horrible. Could you imagine playing the Dodgers 19 times, the D-backs, and the Padres? What is that? 57 games? They probably win 17 and lose 40. Seriously. So
Yeah, we got
see you.
we got a few weeks before spring training, starts happening, and everybody's optimistic at this time of the year.
Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah. So we want to do a little bit of football here too, guys. But stay tuned. We will come back to baseball. We're just going to cover a little bit of football here for the weekend games, and we'll bounce back to the baseball. And we are doing a giveaway. We've got a NorCal Sports Network T-shirt giveaway, and we got some San Francisco Giants tickets to give away. We are celebrating 4,500 subs. We hit that mark, and also are celebrating over 1 million views on YouTube, which is a pretty good milestone with YouTube. So we just want to make sure that you guys all are entered into the contest. So Los, oh, by the way, guys, there's our live sub count as of right now is 4518. Okay, 4518. There it is. So
Nice.
yeah,
On the way to 5Gs.
on the way to 5,000. Thanks, Philip. Really appreciate it. Robert Rothberg says, Los, which player do you prefer, Lee or Conforto?
I like Lee. I've been a Lee fan since they signed him. Was frustrated that he got hurt. I think he'll be a good
thanks,
player.
Senior. Thank you.
I think Lee is the kind of player that I like, though. You know that, Robert. I like guys that have high batting averages and put the ball in play and barrel up. But unfortunately, the Giants don't have enough of guys like that in their lineup. They have a lot of strikeout guys, which was the problem last year. So if they had gotten a few more higher batting average guys in the lineup, I would have maybe a little bit more optimism than I do. So, but we'll see. Some guys may surprise and get better. The young guys, hopefully. I'm real curious to see what Ramos does coming off of a good rookie year, and because you got to remember, guys, baseball, like the book gets out on you about what you can and cannot do.
Here, and that way he doesn't lick his.
Yeah, I mean, baseball is a game of adjustments. So don't just assume Ramos is going to be. I mean, we all hope so. We love him on this show, but don't assume he's going to be a good to great player again this year. The league's going to adjust to him. They're gonna throw him and pitch him differently, especially if he doesn't have anybody hitting behind him to protect him. So baseball's an adjustment league. Guys get worse, guys get better.
Hey, what
the Giants?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say the Giants need a lot of guys to be better for them to be competitive this year. A lot.
What do you guys think of? I was watching Triples Alley the other night with the Matt Cain perfect game and the catch Gregor Blanco made he was playing in right center field. If that was a regular ballpark without cheating to cover Triples Alley, there's no way in hell would freeze over before anybody can catch that from right field. So I guess maybe the center fielder would have caught it if he was playing typical like straight away. But when you move everybody over to the right, that makes your center fielder then cheat a little bit toward left, and you're leaving straightaway center kind of more of a hole. I want to know what you think, Los. The ballpark's a beautiful park, but they did change the park when they moved the pitcher's mounds out to the outfield. And there's no longer the 421 and the dimensions. That's down to 415. They moved the center field in a little bit. It's 399. I think that used to be like 408 or something like that. What do you think if you took from the third archway or wherever it might be, and you put a 7-foot wall and then took that in and cut off that 415 and made that 415 truly like a 385, 390 and had it a little bit more symmetrical. And then you put new seats behind that, like a little you could probably put in 1,500 to 2,000 seats in that area where you would get more revenue. You definitely get more excitement in the ballpark with 7-foot fence and home run robberies and more home runs. And I don't like the idea of people cheating in Triples Alley. But I tell you, if I'm a left-handed hitter and I come up and I see the right center fielders playing 150 feet off the right field line, man, I am going to fix it so that I can cheat and pull one down the line, and I'll make my own Triples Alley down the right field line.
If they were to do that, if they were to move in the fences and shorten the fence in right center, it would help the opposition more than it would the Giants. And I'll tell you why. Because the Giants, as I've stated, don't have a lot of left-handed bats in their lineup. And the ones that they do don't have a lot of power to take advantage of it. Their lineup right now is consisted very much. It's a very right-handed oriented lineup. And the only guys that can kind of go opposite field are Ramos. Adames is kind of a pull hitter too. Most of his homers go to left and center. Chapman is a dead pull hitter. He doesn't hit anything to right with power. Bailey, remains to be seen how he's hitting. But, when Eldridge comes up and he's in the lineup every day, then he can take advantage of that shorter distance and that shorter wall. But right now, it would mean a lot more homers for the opposition, unfortunately, than the Giants, because they don't have a left-handed power hitting lineup right now. They just don't.
Yeah. Hey, guys, get your entries in for the giveaways. They are ending at 8:30 sharp so that we have time to put everything together. So, all right. So what about with Eldridge coming up? That could be kind of nice. And if you added an Eldridge and a Santander, what would Oracle be like if the fence was reasonable and then you went out and actually got a Bellinger or a Santander or any other lefty with some pop? It changes the whole dynamics of like, hey, maybe San Francisco can become a destination place. You think Kyle Tucker's going to want to come here to San Francisco next year when he's a free agent?
No, not with the dimensions the way they are right now. Too many. He could go talk to Brandon Belt about how many homers he lost over the years.
But you would actually, if you brought in the fence, I think you bring in yourself with more. You're on more on an even kilter par with some of the other teams, and the Dodgers aren't going to be able to keep loading up on these guys because there's not enough room for them on their roster. They could go after, for sure, Tucker, because they don't really have outfielders. The Dodgers, their outfield is like Conforto, Andy Pages, Edmonds, and Teoscar Hernandez. So they don't have like a dynamic, but the flexibility, the beauty of what the Dodgers have, they can go get themselves a really top-rated shortstop and move Betts out to right field.
I kind of never understood the philosophy of, superstar baseball players, hitters, especially that are in their late 20s, and they get these ridiculous 10 to 13-year contracts. Okay, they're guaranteed. So why are you so concerned about how many homers you're going to hit year 1, year 5, year 8? Your money's guaranteed. It's locked in. It's like, just because you hit 40 homers 3 years from now, isn't going to increase your salary. If you hit 2 homers, it's not going to decrease your salary. Your salary's locked in. They sign these long deals, and then they're like, oh, they don't want to go to this ballpark because their production is going to diminish. Well, what are we talking about? Like, are you thinking like the Hall of Fame or what? Because like your salary's locked in for the next 10 to 13 years, no matter what you do. So why do you care about what the fences, are in or whether they're out? I'm just saying that kind of doesn't make. If it was like a 3 or 4 year deal, then I can understand. Oh, I need to put up numbers to get my next deal. But these deals for superstar players, Dan, are not 3 or 4 years. Nobody is signing for 3 or 4 years if you're a legitimate superstar everyday player. It is at minimum 8 years. So just saying, don't kind of get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, guys, we're down to a couple minutes. So make sure you get your entry in. We'll give away that the shirt and some Giants tickets. I think I'd rather have the shirt than the Giants tickets.
Oh, definitely. Robert wants to know what constitutes a superstar. So let's name some of the superstars that we think are in the game. Ronald Acuna, when he's healthy, is a superstar. Shohei Ohtani is a superstar.
Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts is a superstar.
Bryce Harper is a superstar.
Bryce Harper is a superstar.
Aaron Judge is a superstar. Juan Soto is a superstar.
Julio, who's the Mariners?
Rodriguez.
Julio Rodriguez. Thank you. He's a superstar. When a guy comes to the plate and we're just focusing on hitting right now, like more than pitching. You know, when you're not leaving your seat because you want to see a guy hit, I mean that kind of constitutes.
Yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. Yeah, Turd, you're right. Bobby Witt Jr.
Bobby Witt Jr. is definitely a superstar, a young superstar. Juan Soto is a superstar.
Hey, we're gonna have a little guest come on here and join us shortly, guys. So
Kyle Tucker is a superstar.
Be ready.
Or right on the fringe of it. I don't think
Krug's going to be joining us here shortly.
Oh, cool.
So Alonso might sign for 3 to 4 years, and he's definitely a home run hitter. That's why I want him. Giants will finally have. Yeah, I would love to have Alonso. I think it would make the team a little more interesting. For sure, more interesting. Did you not have those on?
Yeah, I've had them on.
Oh, okay. I agree, Matthew. I wholeheartedly agree, guys. That would actually make the Giants become more watchable for sure. I mean, Oracle Park is not going to hold a power right-handed hitter in. It doesn't hurt right-handers at all. It only hurts lefties that don't get all of it, and they hit it, 410, 415, and they just hit it to the wrong part of the park. I mean, actually, if you hit it 415, you're pretty much getting all of it, but you're not. It's still not a home run. It's a lot of times it's just a long out in Oracle. All right, guys, we're going to close off the giveaway. Yes, Ben. I was going to mention him, Tatis. In fact, I want to ask you guys, I put together a little trade the other day. The Padres are going to lose Dylan Cease. They're going to lose Michael King, most likely to free agency.
Oh, Michael King's so good.
They need pitching. Would you, if you were the Giants, the surplus trade value for Fernando Tatis is crazy. It's like 140, 150 or something like that. And the Giants don't have enough with even Logan Webb, their best value. Okay. So I was playing with this and this would be a fun. I would love to get Fernando Tatis. He's only 26 years old, and he's a legitimate superstar. But I don't think the Giants would. I mean, the Padres would do it because
not within the division, probably.
It's been done before.
It has been, but it's kind of rare. It's pretty rare. He would they'd certainly move him to the Giants before they would the Dodgers. That's for sure. Tatis would be nice.
You would have to. What I would love to do, but if you could, let me ask you this: would you do a trade something like? Let's see if I can find it here. Let's do. Would you do a trade that looked something like this? Couldn't do it with Willy Adames though, because he has to give approval. But look at that. Fernando Tatis. You would get younger and you'd have a legitimate star, and look at the salary you'd get rid of. You'd get rid of over $40 million of salary. And you would, and Adames or Tatis only makes like $20 million.
Thanks, Willie. It was nice knowing you. Would you put if you did that, Dan? Would you put Tatis at short or in the outfield?
Yeah, I put him at short, man.
Put him at short. Okay.
Yeah, I just until you got your own shortstop to come up, man. Look, that guy's electric. I just love to watch him play. The Giants have nobody near like that. And I don't think the Padres would do this trade because Tatis is the one affordable contract they have, because it's only like $20 million a year AAV, I think, for the time being, I think. So
here's something interesting about that, Dan. Tell me what you think. The Giants are kind of led by Buster Posey right now. And even if Posey wasn't there, they're kind of an organization that, I don't know, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I don't know if they like flash like that. Like Tatis is a very flashy, swaggy, arrogant player. And, that can be construed as kind of, cocky, and, it didn't help them out against the Dodgers when they had them down 2-1 and they were kind of yakking and talking a little bit too much before they finished and knocked them off. But now with Posey in charge, I'm just kind of thinking that I don't know if Posey, especially because he's very, very, conservative, down to earth, plays the game the right way, humble. Would he want a player like Tatis on the team with his personality, despite him being a legitimate superstar talent? Would Buster Posey be okay with the personality that comes with that production is my question. I think it's an interesting point.
I mean, the Giants are not flashy at all. We saw how Madison Bumgarner treated Yashiel Puig. He did not like any flashiness on the field. It was like, hey, I'm old school. I'll put a ball between your temples. That was bad bum. I mean, the Giants are kind of old school. They're one of the more boring teams in baseball.
They're very old school. But I'll say this. They won in an era where, I mean, there's always been Latin players who've come up and done very well every year from some team, right? But the Giants did it with pitching, defense, and just timely hitting. They weren't flashy. There was nobody flashy. But I like the flashiness. I do too.
If you can back it up and you can show it on the field, I mean, wow. I mean, I wouldn't mind grabbing Tatis in that deal and finding a way to put him in right field and get me another shortstop. But Giants just don't have enough to make big trades. Their biggest asset is Logan Webb. So if they don't,
you think Ramos was kind of handcuffed last year, so to speak. Like I think the organization was trying to kind of like hold him down a little bit, and he basically, with his performance, had a big F you. Like, you see, this is what you could have had if you played me right away. I think Ramos is going to have a little swag this year, and I hope he does.
And I think Adames will too.
I think Adames will too. Yeah, I like swag in a player. I like confidence in a player. I really do. I think the game has kind of gotten past the whole, Matt Williams, hit a home run, put your head down, and just run around the bases as fast as you can. I think it's past that. There's a lot of flash, both pitching, offensively. Jesus, even guys getting thrown out at second and throwing the tag down are getting a little bit, flashy. So I think the game has changed, and with a lot of international players coming in, That old school way of playing baseball. I'm not going to say it's completely gone, but there's definitely more balance to Flash and cockiness. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Speaking of Ramos, I put this out today, and I would really like to see this. Elliot Ramos permanently switched from 17 to number 21, as both Ramos and Clemente are from Puerto Rico, and Clemente is a hero to almost all ball players from Puerto Rico. What do you think?
I love that.
Joey Bart had 21 before. I mean, he should take that and celebrate the he hit that home run last year into McCovey Cove on Roberto Clemente Day wearing number 21.
Yeah.
Now, see, Bart had the number to begin the season. He was on the roster opening day. And why not give – I mean, Ramos should ask for it. I mean, wouldn't you want to wear your idol growing up, the idol of your country? I always wanted to wear my favorite player's number when I was growing up. I mean, that would be really cool for Elliot Ramos to grab 21. Since Bart's gone, grab it. And we welcome in with that. We welcome in to the stage Larry Krueger. Welcome in, Larry.
What's up? Look at two of my favorite guys.
What's up, Larry?
What's up? What is going on, Los, with the Warriors mid zip and little Trent Williams hat going in the blue and gold, kind of Cal Bears colors. Danny in the Truckers Giants spring training hat from 1994, I believe.
I'm not sure where this is from, but
Larry, you have really good hair, but I don't think I've ever seen you wear a hat. You're not a hat guy, huh?
No, I have tons of hats. It's funny. Ever since I worked with Gary was like, every time I wore a hat, literally every single time, he's like, "What are you hiding?" And so that was one of Gary's things, that if you wore a hat, he always, so in New Orleans, like when I went to New Orleans, he stayed back in the city when the Niners went against the Ravens. The show time is 9 to noon Pacific. That means 11 to 2 in the Central Time Zone, which is perfect for people who went out and partied till 6 a.m. Because that's what happened. So, I'm showing up at the show with the hat down, the glasses, and the whole deal. And every day, what are you hiding? What are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. No, I don't. I have a great hat collection, but I don't wear a lot of hats.
Right,
well, you joined us right about the right time, because we've been doing Giants. We can continue with Giants, but we were going to talk a little bit of the playoffs today, the games, the two games that I thought were pretty good, even though the weather affected kind of both of them, but they were very entertaining games to watch. I thought the Rams were going to pull it off. I really did.
So did I.
I thought they were going to pull that off. They got down to about the 18-yard line after that catch to Nakua on the sideline where he got both feet in, 40-yard grab or whatever, and then the Rams tried to run it or something. And I was like, what are they? And then they got sacked on that third down play by Carter. I'm like,
the sack killed the drive.
Oh, man.
Fangio's defense responded when it mattered most. You just said it right there, Lois. Jalen Carter, that second sack, he just came alive and they took over. Zach Bond, was an incredible find this year for them. He was an all-pro linebacker. He was a backup in New Orleans. So that was a great find. He was fantastic. There was an entire series of downs that he stole just on his greatness. He made like 3 different plays. But, Saquon Barkley, 30 touches for 232 and 2 touchdowns. Philly ran for 8.4 a carry. 8.4 a carry. The most amazing thing was Philly ran for 8.4 a carry. Barkley was awesome. But at the end of the game, it was the Rams who had a 402 to 350 yardage edge, and they had a 291 to – wait for this. The Eagles threw for it was nothing. It was like 128 or something like that. It was hardly anything. Yeah, 128 is all they had for passing yards. So I don't know. It was an interesting game. Philly, it really, once again, this weekend again reminded us, if you win the turnover battle, you win. The four winners this week were plus 10 combined in turnovers. Philly was plus 2 in this game. I also thought Goddard deserved a game ball. He played great. He had 4 big catches. No question that Hurts gutted it out there at the end. His knee, both knees look like they just got, like, I guarantee you he's going to feel like hell at like 4 a.m. You know what I mean? Just like hell. And I don't know. His status for this week is going to be interesting. And if it got really bad, if let's just say he tore something and they didn't realize it, and he's somehow not going to play this week, if I'm Philly, I'm going with Tanner McKee over Kenny Pickett. I'm going with the Stanford kid, who the third string guy over the second string guy. We got to look at both of them at the end of the year. And I thought McKee looked better. McKee looks really good. And I'm not just saying that because I did the Stanford pregame and I'm partial to Stanford. Nothing like that. This guy's 6'6", throws lasers, pretty athletic for a 6'6" guy, very accurate, super smart. I mean, come on. Big arm. I mean, this guy can go down the field. So, I mean, he's and kind of he's good. I mean, I'm telling you, watch for Tanner McKee in Philly, whether it be, this year or in the future. He's coming. But Jalen Hurts was just, he was incredible. The other guy that I think we got to talk about is Jared Verse. I mean, he just was so monster.
Stud.
He's looking like, Lawrence Taylor just parked in the Niner division. And I know the Niners have this like, well, we can get offensive linemen later. Well, guess what? You better change your philosophy because you got Jared Verse in your division now. So you better get him blocked, and he's an all-day deal, and he's just ridiculous. It reminds me of LT. He's not LT, but he's the strength of like 3 men. Jared Verse is so strong. And then, just the motor just keeps coming. He's got a relentless – it's not that he's got a ton of moves. He just is a great leverage player, and he's great. Keeps that motor going, keeps his legs driving. He is awesome, and they've got him now for the next decade. So that Rams defensive front is real, but – I bet the Eagles and Bills on the money line because I didn't want to mess around with any points today. And I just felt like, this is Josh Allen's time, and I just felt like the Rams might cover, and they did cover, but they weren't going to win. So, but I didn't want to take a chance. I don't like betting teams. I don't like betting teams that I think are going to lose. And so I didn't want to take the Rams. So I took Eagles and Bills on the money line.
Is this the year that Josh Allen gets past Mahomes like Manning did with Brady
I
after
hope so.
several times? I mean, how many times did it take Manning before he beat Brady in a playoff game of significance?
Yeah,
I think
this is it. I think this could be his best shot.
I sure hope so.
I agree.
I mean, they're still a little shy on D. If Buffalo were a little bit more fearsome on D, I would feel more confident. They got some really good players. I mean, Ed Oliver's a beast. I mean, Ed Oliver's a monster. He always has been a monster. He's really good. The great story today was the leading tackler was Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin, the guy
that almost died.
Yeah.
8 tackles today, 5 solo. He got a sack. He had 2 tackles for loss. He got a hit on the quarterback. He was huge. So, yeah.
Braden says this about you, Larry. Larry hates the Giants.
What?
Out of nowhere. Just
Larry loves the Giants. He's just frustrated with them, like we all are. Frustrated with Major League Baseball, to be honest. Right now.
What's his name again?
Braden.
Braden. The opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference. Remember that.
And there was a movie that was called "It's a Thin Line Between Love and Hate."
He's joking. Okay, he's joking.
No, but you know what I'm saying. If I really hated them, I would just ignore them. But what I love them, and I just can't stand that they're in this permanent second class to the Dodgers. And it's really kind of, here's the thing about this. I don't like to be misled. Just tell me the truth. Mm-hmm. And I just feel in some ways like all those years at Candlestick, and yes, guys like me and Los were there for all those years at Candlestick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were told that, yeah, you can't really compete with LA. They've got Dodger Stadium and they're drawing $3 million and they have a much bigger revenue pie. But when we get our stadium, we will be on an equal playing field, and we will compete on an equal playing field with the Dodgers from that point forward. They dreamed the dream, took the loans, took the risks, built the stadium. Bingo, greatest deal of all time. It turned into the greatest real estate deal in the history of the city of San Francisco. And the stadium now in 2025, as we fast forward to the present, has been paid off for over a decade. They've won 3 championships. They're minting money. Forbes says $500 million in revenue. Dodgers are making more revenue, but the Dodgers are also spending 52% of that revenue on player payroll. At least
last
they
year,
were.
60,
that was
67.
last year.
67 now.
67% of their revenue is on player payroll, and the Giants are probably around 47. Giants were right around 50.
52, I think.
52. Okay.
Yeah, I think
so. The Giants have gone up a little bit, but they're still woefully behind. So not only that, so think about that. You're in a race with somebody, and they have more revenue, and they also are committed to spending a higher percentage of their revenue than you are. So now it's like if you win, you're winning against all odds. And the only thing I would say about it is, I understand the whole thing's you got to be prudent. It's a business deal, but you've already won. I mean, you own there is no mortgage. Every penny is profit. It's just a matter of, hundreds of millions of dollars will be coming into your pocket. The only thing that could ever interrupt that is like nothing. I mean, natural disaster that wipes out the region. I mean, things that, where we got other problems beyond that anyway. You know what I'm saying? I mean, nothing's interrupting this incredible cash cow that they have.
Right.
I'd love to see them have a short-term plan and a long-term plan to consistently compete with the Dodgers. I don't think that is outrageous or like, what? You want what? You know what I'm saying? I'd like a plan that helps you compete like in 2025 because there's games to be going to. And then I'd like to see you try to compete, down the road with what is your game plan to close the divide. Because what's bothersome, and I'm sure you guys notice, it's not that the Giants aren't as good as the Dodgers. It's that the divide is grown.
It's growing
by leaps and bounds. And then the counter, and tell me if you think it's fair, because if you're watching this and you're not a Giants fan and you're like, oh, Krug, you're so sour grapes, blah, blah, blah. Because I know there are people who are saying exactly that. And that's fair. That's fair. But what exactly, to what end? I mean, it's gotten to a point where Major League Baseball is not nearly as compelling to me because it's that the Dodgers have that much of an advantage. The whole thing does not feel right. And to me, it seems like we've crossed a barrier here. Now, I don't know. I know that sounds like, well, if this was your team, you'd be great. You'd be happy with it. Not really. I mean, I enjoyed, I guess, the Durant Warriors, but it wasn't like I was like, oh, yes, this is it, I liked the Warriors before that. I like the Warriors now. I mean, it was great, but it did feel like the 94 Niners and the Durant Warriors, they both felt a little kind of handed to you, right? Because it was free agent gains, not farm system guys.
Doubt.
But I don't know. That's where I'm at. What do you guys think?
I mean, I've been talking about that for a little while. You just like it to be somewhat competitive, a level playing field, and just, have the best team and the best players and just have them play it out and see what happens. And to just have it so uneven the way it is right now. And I was just telling Dan an hour ago that, another organization could offer the same amount of money that Taylor Scott was offered, but he's going to go to the Dodgers. I mean, you have to go well over market value and what the Dodgers are offering to get him. And that's just a complete unfair advantage. So, yeah, I mean, we grew up just loving the competition of sports. And when you have it so monopolized like it is. It just seems like that competition is not as strong as it could be. Or it should
you know,
be.
the one thing I do understand as something that makes sense, the more you think about it, is that the Dodger games, every single one of them, is on television in Japan. So you do have a major advantage there because they do you're developing fans, you know, and so they're going to be fans in an open free market international system. I mean, that's why, you know, this to me says what, you know, the one thing, if baseball is a great sport, but you have to adjust as the times change. And to me, the one thing that has to happen is you have to take the international thing out of this bid war and free agent situation and more into the draft. Those guys have to be in the draft, and then you want then Detroit can have them, and the Mariners can have them, and the Rangers and the Giants and everybody, the A's could have. You know what I'm saying? That makes more sense to me. If you really want to do more to even the playing field, do that, and then that will take the top bidders. And you know, this hurts the Giants more than it helps, because in reality, the Giants have the money to be one of those top bidders if they want to be. They have, you know, that's the thing, you know, how aggressive. The Giants are rich, just the Dodgers are richer and are spending their money more liberally and are making better decisions. And the combination of all these factors has made them so good that it's taken the intrigue out of, I mean, the race, it's like a horse race that's over before we've even loaded the gate.
Yeah, and the other thing about this is that according to Ned, when Ned was on here recently, he said that the Dodgers ownership group actually wants to win more than the fans. I mean, imagine having an ownership group that is so committed and so focused on winning that it moves them, it drives them to go out and do the kind of moves they're doing. I mean, they're ahead of the fans. I mean, the fans are always saying, "Oh, go out and get this guy and get this guy." Well, the Dodgers owners are like, "Hey, we're getting so-and-so and so-and-so. We're not settling for that. We're going to, geez." I mean,
who do they want next?
I think they're probably
who's out there.
But what they will do is they have the resources when trade deadline comes, and somebody is out of it and wants to make a trade. I mean, I could see him going after Luis Robert too. I mean, he would be the perfect guy to put in center field for them, because they really don't have a legitimate true center fielder. It's Andy Pages and Tommy Edman. Go trade some of your surplus young pitching now that you got, 19 starters. Go ahead and get Luis Robert and watch him cook in that lineup. The only thing wrong with Luis Robert is he doesn't stay healthy. But if he stays healthy, he's one of the better players in the game. And he would be, if you put him in that lineup, he would probably hit 35, 40 homers and steal 25, 30 bases and hit you 260.
Oh, and he's perfect because he's in this park, he'd play right field. And, right field, I think, is perfect for him. I mean, he's got the range as a guy who's played center field. He could play right field in this park. He could
play with the Giants. I don't know why the Giants don't go after him. I mean, the White Sox have pretty much said he's on the block.
Oh, to me, I mean, the deal to make if you're the Giants, if you wanted to say, give me a deal that would jumpstart the Giants and actually give them a shot. Well, first of all, they still need another pitcher. So that they probably need another arm. I would say the deals I'd want to make is I would want to see if I could use my financial advantage to help try to pick off a couple players from the Padres, because I think aren't the Padres poor right now?
Yeah. Michael King,
Dylan Cease. I mean, if you could get Dylan Cease and take Arias. Both those guys, I mean, I think Arias is exactly what they need. They need a contact gap hitter with some excitement who's proven. He's a proven hitter. I mean, that guy's a hitter. If you want to get better at hitting, you got to add hitters. and that guy is a hitter. He's a fantastic hitter. That's the kind of bat they should add because he can play multiple spots. His deal's not that big, and that one. And then you take Cease as well, and you give them some good players. They want Doval in a package. That's fine. Work out a package, but those two guys. The other one, I would say Robert and Andrew Vaughn. Get Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn went to Berkeley. He's a good right-handed hitter. He's young. He's the guy's a good hitter. I mean, the guy's going to always be a good hitter.
Yeah,
To me, you put that guy as a good hitter. You put that guy at first base. Now, I don't mind if you want to share some at bats and platoon and do some things, but basically, that's your everyday first baseman. He's a line drive hitter who's made to play in that ballpark. He really is. I mean, I think Andrew Vaughn could have 45 doubles playing in that ballpark. He's such a really good professional gap hitter, and he's a great line drive hitter. So I like Vaughn, and to me, I think you're onto something. Luis Robert and Vaughn together, that would remake the lineup. I mean, now you're ready to go lineup wise. Now it's a matter of just, can you get one more dangerous arm in the bullpen? Can you get one more starter? Do you have a young arm coming up? Is Wisenhunt going to break through and be a 15-game winner this year? Or, do you have a young arm that is on the verge? You might have to trade for an arm.
This channel is split on Bryce Eldridge breaking camp with the Giants, Larry. Where do you stand on that?
That I think it's so unlikely. Unlikely.
It's not the Giants' MO to move up a guy like that.
If they do that, man, I mean it's here's the thing about it. If you know your baseball history, and you guys do, there are not a lot of tall hitters in the history of baseball, but the good ones are Hall of Famers. You know, I mean, there's some good. I mean, we've seen some good tall hitters in our lifetime. Dave Parker, Dave Winfield, Frank Howard. If you're kind of an old school guy, older, I'm not that old. We've seen some tall guys who can.
Willie Mack was 6'4".
Oh,
he wasn't
Willie
6'7",
Mack,
but you also
very
had
tall. Kyle Tucker.
Judge is 6'6". Judge is 6'6".
Yeah,
Kyle Tucker's a really tall hitter. He's probably 6'4.5", 6'5".
You know what's interesting about tall and height is
Sean Green. Remember Sean Green?
Sean Green of the Dodgers, yeah. But I mean, technically, where is the strike zone? Like, so a 6'7" hitter should, you would think, have a larger strike zone than a 5'11" hitter, correct? But the strike zone is so, every umpire has a different strike zone. Some are low ball, some are high ball. It should be to the knees, of course, the length of the plate, and then it should be the knees to the bottom of the elbows, right? Dan? That's not how it's always been? I mean, there's nothing in writing. There's no exact definition.
Kind
but
of like the letters to the knees, I always thought, but
Yeah, the letters was always a high strike.
They used to say the shoulders to the knees, but nobody called the shoulders. It was so funny, too. As a kid, in one Little League game on a weekend, I remember that the ump didn't show, and they asked my dad to ump, and I was like, "Oh, my dad's gonna ump." I'm fired up. And then I remembered that my dad was like super old school, and they used to play strikeout in North Beach, and we played on the same square they played on, and I'm telling you, the strike zone was shoulders to the knees. It was big. It was a big strike zone, and these kids threw to. And it had been there for like years. So I knew, I'm like, my dad's going to call high strikes. I know it. First pitch right across the letters. Kid takes it. Dad's like, strike. Kid looks around. The coach is yelling. I'm like, oh my gosh. Most embarrassing. It was like fifth grade or something like that. And it was fun.
We used to have umpires in CYO in San Francisco that they would call strikes and they would stand behind the pitcher. Remember those? It was like our manager would be like, "Get your ass behind the plate. Call it the way you're supposed to."
Hey, that was me, dude. I was one of those guys standing behind the pitcher. I'll tell you, it's funny because they didn't even give us masks. They would just give me a thing like, go to this park, blankety blank park on blankety blank street, and I would do like 6 games. I'd be like, it would be like an 8 a.m. game, a 10 a.m. game, a noon game, a 2, a 4. I mean, it was like 5 games, and you made like $25 a game. And so it was like a good way to like for, you know,
I used to do that
high
too.
school kid to make that kind of money. And but I by the last game, dude, always I had just a blazing headache. Because you're standing in the sun the entire day.
You got an Eric Gregg strike zone in the last game. It's kind of like, hey!
I'll give you my favorite one. The kid. It was a 6th grade game, and this kid hits a home run over the left field fence, right? And he's circling the bases. I think somewhere in the Excelsior, and he gets to second base, right? And he takes off his helmet and just hurls it into the outfield. Okay? I'm standing literally right there because I'm watching to see if he touches second base. And he not only does he throw it in the outfield, he takes like a hop, skip, and a jump, like almost like he's like throwing it across the diamond. Like he taken like a couple crow hops. So he's like kind of out off the infield cutout onto the grass.
Man.
And I go, out. I called him out. I called him out not for running out to the baseline, but for throwing his helmet. 6th grade.
If you're doing 4 or 5 games,
I called him out. He went berserk. The coach went berserk. I was only like maybe like a sophomore in high school or something like that. Standing there. Oh man, it was a moment just sitting there having coach, adults yell at you and scream at you, and you're like, dude, I don't even have a driver's license. My dad dropped me off here.
Let's see if we get some of these supers here. MM Forever. What hurt more, Scherzer strikeout 21 Division Series or 24 World Series? I remember the Scherzer strikeout was with Wilmer Flores, right? That was the check swing.
Well, first of all, that call, that was another Bush call by the umpire, because I mean you can't end the season on that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and say that there was going to be some kind of miraculous whatever. So, I mean, you know what I mean? No, to me, there was no bitterness in that. I mean, the Giants won 107 games.
Right.
That was the story, That was the story. That's the franchise record.
Yeah.
That was an amazing. I mean, if you told me that Gabe Kapler with that team would have had that's the greatest team in Giants history, no way.
Yeah.
But they've got the record, scoreboard.
What else we got here? Let me get to this one here. Oh, for Cedar just says, hey, $1.99. Thanks. All right. And Fuji, Simeon, what is realistic expectations for the Giants this year? 3rd wild card spot or no? Hypothetically, what could trading Kyle Birdsong Carson get you? Okay. Realistic expectations for me, Fuji, is about a 500 team. 4th place finish likely, unless San Diego really, craps the bed. The Giants could sneak into 3rd place if the Padres fall apart. But I look at this team right now, the way they're built. I mean, over under Vegas has them 79.5. Last year they were 83.5.
That's about right.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you guys seen the over-under? It's 79.5. And it's probably right on. I mean, they're basically saying it's a 500 team.
Yeah, that's what I think
it's. I think. So okay, it's a 500 team. The question is, so we don't have the most boring conversation of all time. Will they be a winning team or a losing team? What side of this 500 thing will they be on? I'm going to go with the winning side. I just think in year 1 of Buster, there'll be a positive enough tone post Farhan. They have enough assets as an organization, financially and prospect wise, that if you have a smarter GM and better ideas and a little bit more vision and a little less worry. I think Farhan was just paralyzed with concern about I don't know what. I thought he was like oddly active, yet if you looked at like real moves, he was incredibly inactive. You know what I mean? He made a volume of moves, but man, if you go look at the list of those names and then actually look at the real moves that you guys would actually be like, oh yeah, those, it's unbelievable. I mean, he made so many additions that were just like nothing little additions and subtractions. So I think this year the front office vibe will be better. I think they'll finish a couple games over 500. I'll give them, they get surprised. There's some positives. They wind up with some momentum and they win 86 games.
Ooh, 86. That's solid. Yeah, I think they're gonna be right at 500, maybe a little bit more. I think Lee's gonna hopefully play all year. I think he'll be obviously better than last year. I really love Birdsong. He's my one young pitcher that I have way more confidence in him than I do Harrison or Mason Black. So I think he'll be a positive. I think Adames will be a positive in the lineup. And I'm kind of with Bora, Dan. I think Eldridge breaks camp with the Giants. I think they need.
You want to bet me on the same bet that Bora did?
I'll bet you on that. I'm probably betting with my heart, but it's like the Giants. They're just kind of to steal Larry's line with his 49ers. They're too comfortable doing things the way they are. So shake it up.
How much you want to wager on that one?
Well, I'm doing it with my heart, so not much.
I
bet big money with my brains.
Okay, $20. Bora's got me for 20, so that'll help me pay for my lost bet to Ryan.
I don't know. Friends like Dan, when you're sitting there and you're making he's making an emotional moment, and all of a sudden Dan sees a little vulnerability. All of a sudden, he goes right for your pocketbook. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
it's like he's really a financial guy. I mean, it's like as soon as you showed a little weakness there, taking a little vulnerability with the, I'm going to take a chance. I kind of think this. I know it's a little off the reservation, but you know what? I'm gonna go with it. Danny, immediately. You want to wager? Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah. Last part of his.
Now Los has got to lose money on the deal.
There we go. That's okay. I don't mind.
The same guy that wants to call you at 2 a.m. and trade you Russell Wilson for Lamar Jackson in fantasy football. That tells you everything about the guy.
Los, I've been married for 25 years. The only time my wife has thought I've been cheating is when Dan texted me for a fantasy trade.
I bet the phone was turned off from then on, right? When he went to sleep. Couldn't risk it, man.
Why is he? What does this mean? Godwin and Evans for Elliott? What is that? Is that a code? Who is that? Who's Elliott? Who's Godwin? That's Dan, honey.
Part of this
That's Dan. Dan's making a trade. No, he's not. It's 2:15 in the morning. He's not making a trade. Yes, he is, honey. He's making a trade. He is? Good night, honey. Back to bed.
How old were Will Clark and Robbie Thompson when they made their Giants debut in '86? Were they 21?
Will Clark played at Mississippi State, so I would say Will Clark was 23 and Robbie Thompson was probably 24.
Okay. I know the whole thing about Go ahead, then.
Let me put this trade together for Fuji. He says, could they realistically get for Kyle Birdsong and Wisenhunt? Well, you could do something like this. I don't know if any team would do it, but I think the Marlins would do this. I don't know if the Giants would do it, though.
I brought that up a month ago. I love Sandy
Alcantara. That's pretty equal value.
What do you got there? Can you make it any bigger than that? Wait, hold on a second. I can do that. I can do that on my end.
So you got the value there. So you got Harrison.
Harrison, Birdsong, and Wisenhunt for Alcantara coming off the surgery. Well, I don't know. I don't want to trade all three of these guys.
I wouldn't trade all three of those
I'm not going
together.
3 for 1. I'm not trading any of those 3 guys, by the way. I'm saying no to all these 3 guys. I don't think I have to trade any of those 3 guys to get Sandy Alcantara. I think I would offer Doval, Reggie Crawford, and some premier arm lower.
Yeah, you might be able to do that. Okay,
because you gotta have some reservoir of guys that you can use next year. Because what if you have a good year?
Yeah.
How long ago was it that Sandy had the issue, the arm issue? Was it a year? Over a year? Less than a year?
It's a little over a year. Yeah.
Okay.
And he came back and he looks good. I like him. I mean, if he's healthy, he could be really good.
He'd be great in that ballpark.
Yeah.
I think the Giants, to answer Fuji's next question, I think they're making a huge mistake in not pursuing Alonso because, look, if it
are they not pursuing Alonso?
I don't even know if they are or not. But if they're not, I think it's foolish because you know what? It's not going to be a long-term deal. The Giants could probably grab him for a 4-year deal with a 5th-year club option, and they could be out of the deal in 4 years. And so it cost them $120 million. That's nothing to this team. You're going to get production from Alonso. He's only 30. He's only been in the league since 2019. It's not like he's played forever.
What do you think his AAV is going to be?
25-ish.
Okay. Somebody suggested, I saw another article today where somebody said Rizzo, go get Rizzo.
No.
Rizzo is older, more broken down, and is probably still going to cost you $15 million a year.
Yeah. Right.
So if you're going to go there, why spend $15 million for a guy is on the downside? He'll hit a couple big home runs for you, but he's going to wind up hitting real low average. I don't know. I'm not super anti-Rizzo either compared to what they have. I kind of like Rizzo compared to what they have, but I like the Robert Vaughn idea more than going, with some of these hitters. But the Polar Bear to me is box office. He's fun. He's kind of a throwback. I think Buster would like him. I think he's a good teammate. I think he's a guy that's easy to root for. He's likable. I mean, I've seen a lot of his interviews, and we know he's a big power hitter. This ballpark's got a big right center. He's got a lot of strength to right center. I mean, when the Giants come to town, it's bye-bye, baby. I mean, this is the only era. I mean, think of it this way. I've been watching Giants baseball since the mid-'70s. When I started watching them, they had Willie McVey and Jack Clark, okay? They've had a big-time bat that you wanted to go see almost every single year since, until now. Now they don't really have a single guy that you would be like, you know what? What are you doing this weekend? I'm going to the game because I'm going to see Bonds. I'm going to see this guy. They don't have that now. And it's like, go get that guy. I mean, not that the Dodgers have already now set up with their 5 aces that they will be winning the NL West. So screw winning. Let's just go get some entertaining players that are fun to watch, and let's have a good show. The one thing the Padres have had the last few years that I'm envious of is that they don't win a lot. They win more than the Giants, but there's a lot of great vibes, and people are having a great time in their ballpark, and the place is rocking, and it's feeling good. And the Giants got to get there. They got to get there, and they're only going to be there if the place is packed. The place is only going to be packed if you have some guys that are really fun to watch or good draws. So I'll tell you, the guy who grew on me that I think's a great, I'm excited about is Jung Hoo, from the standpoint of he's fun to watch. He knows how to play the game. He's fun to watch. He plays the hell out of center field. He can run, line drive hitter. Now, I don't know how good of a player he is, but he's fun to watch. If you're not going to win, be fun. play high energy or with a lot of power, a lot of speed, guys who throw real hard, put on a good show. And to me, they've been bad, but they've also been dull. And that's the worst. I mean, you don't want to be bad and dull. And that's the thing. They're just kind of Yaz and Floor. I mean, nothing against these guys. Yaz, a good dude, right? Good dude. But I mean, actually,
boring personalities too. Like Lee has charisma. He was one of the few guys. Whether it's genuine or not, you don't know what he's doing behind when the cameras are off. But he looked actually genuinely excited to play for.
He seems like he has,
and put that Giants uniform on, and that's cool for us.
Go Giants
fans! Yeah,
go Giants. Hey, Fuji, last one here says Angel Hernandez always had a new strike zone. Yeah, he changed it all the time. The guy was crazy. Hey guys, we're gonna do our little giveaway right now. We've got 2 giveaways. Do we have, Ryan, the 2 different sets or the same numbers for both giveaways? Because I thought there was a lot more than 30 people that entered in the giveaway. Here's the list, guys, for the giveaway. We're going to do a random generator. We'll spin the number, and if your number comes up, we've got a T-shirt and some Giants tickets to give away. So here is the number.
Is that a trivia question?
I'll take the shirt.
No, it's just
2XL.
Take the shirt instead of the 2 small shirt instead of the Giants tickets. We got tickets for the Giants on Wednesday afternoon, May 14th, Diamondbacks and Giants. Hey, that could be a good. Maybe you'll see Webb and Burns pitch. That would be.
I'm pretty sure they're not going to be mathematically eliminated by that point.
Exactly. That's why they were giving them away now.
They're gonna be giving away Giants tickets pretty soon, like back in the 70s and 80s when Berkeley Farms was at Sunset Gymnasium giving out 49er tickets.
They'll still be alive.
Is everybody got their number in there? We'll do this. All right, here we go. 1 through 30, and we'll pick the winner. You got to be present to win here, so hopefully you're still around. And we're ready to spin. And this one will be for the shirt. The shirt. We don't want to have.
What size is the shirt?
It's an XL, but it's really like a large. They run small. They run really small. All right, here we go. Who's going to be the lucky winner? Looks like a number going to 28 to me. It is. Who is that? Let's see who number 28 belongs to.
It's Philip.
Philip, are you in the house, Philip? He's saying
21.
Philip, you there?
I hope you're not an XL or 2XL, Philip. You might need to give that to your kid.
Philip, do you have a small friend?
He's here. All right. Philip, send me your address. Just send it over to NorCal Sports Network at Gmail and give me your name, address, and everything, and I'll put it out in the mail this week. All right, along with George Curry's, who I haven't got out yet. So, all right, now we're going to go for the Giants tickets.
Congratulations, Philip. Don't forget cold water. Otherwise, it'll be
Dan, you're not selling these people's identities to other companies for side cash, are you?
we send them out.
You're not selling these people's identity, are you?
Did everybody get into Did everybody get into the contest? 30. Kyle, enter. All right, we're going to put Kyle in there at number 31. Kyle, you're number 31. Is anybody else not entered wants to grab number 32 before we spin?
Larry, I'll be 32. I'll be 33.
I'll be 32. I love being 32.
Larry, you want Giants tickets? 32?
Heck yeah. Where are they? And does it include parking?
They're good seats.
No, it doesn't include parking.
Doesn't include parking? How about a massage? Any massage after? No? Happy endings?
How you enter?
Hey, Kate Upton's in the house now.
Does it include bowling at all inside the Gotham Club?
You just say giveaway, and you got to subscribe and you got to subscribe and you got to like the video. That's all. Like the video. All right. So we're going to make number 32.
You're buying likes?
We're buying likes.
I hope not.
We're buying likes.
I cannot be part of a show where there's like buying going on.
We're not buying any subs though.
You're not buying subs. That's good.
No, we're not buying subs.
You're not taking the money from this contest and turning around and buying subs.
No. And by the way, guys, the tickets, what we're celebrating, we passed 4,500 subs, and we
Legitimately?
legitimately.
Okay.
Legitimately.
You haven't purchased any of those?
None. Zero.
Sure?
Refused
All
to
those people
purchase
are
that.
living and everything.
Yeah, I can't vouch for that. I
There's
don't
no
know. Who
There's no duplicates. There's no No, I'm just kidding.
no duplicates. And we have, and we're celebrating our 1 million views. We have over 1 million views, so we're kind of thrilled about that. What's the email again? It's right up
1
there.
million
on the,
views. 1
on the
million
screen,
views.
Philip. Yeah, 1 million views. Yeah,
All time.
yeah. Since we've been on, yeah. Giveaway, senior, you're number 32. Anthony Merkovich, you're 33. We don't have 33 on there. But Anthony, you're 33. Senior, you're 32.
I thought Krueger was 32.
I thought I was 32. I just got pushed off 32.
Yeah, you're off. You're not in this, Larry. We can't have you winning this.
I need a medium shirt.
Okay, we'll send you a shirt. We'll send you a shirt.
Give it to Kev.
Aaron Gonzalez says giveaway. He's 34.
I need a medium.
Dallas, 35. Dallas is 35.
If this was a radio show, this wouldn't be the best show right now.
Gavin Butcher, 36. That's it.
Not at all.
All you're hearing, all you're hearing, you're driving down the road, you hear Gavin, 36. Aaron, you're 19.
Here we go. Yeah, I know.
Hot.
Here we go. We're spinning. Better not be one of those 31. Whoops. What happened?
Where are we spinning this? And what are we
You know what?
spinning?
I didn't put it up there. So let me put it back up there. Hold on here. I forgot to put it up. Present. Did you guys see the last one? When I
No, the wheel did not show up.
It didn't
we never
show
saw
up?
we never saw the wheel.
We never saw the wheel spinning.
Oh,
It's
you
really
never
kind
saw
of
it spin?
hurt this entire bit.
I didn't notice. I didn't know that the last
Wheel
one was
never
on.
showed up. Nope.
Shoot, I forgot to. Here it is. Now can you see it?
I see a beautiful ballpark. Oh, there we go.
Okay, so
I do see it. I do see it.
Right,
Looks
here we
very
go.
professional. Oh, that's kind of neat, actually.
There's getting an idea.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking all of a sudden
Oh,
the Krug show. The
31.
Krug show. Stealing this
30.
for the Krug show.
Oh, senior just missed. Who did I say was 31?
Me.
I don't. Now it's one of those ones I said.
I'm pretty sure it was me because I was 32, and then remember you got mad at me and then you took that away from me.
No,
Didn't you just move me over to 31?
I didn't even put you in it, Larry. Giveaway. Who did I give 31 to? Somebody remember. We'll have to go back and play it. Come on. This gets crazier all the time. You know, we do this giveaway thing, and then everybody comes in after the deadline, and I'm nice enough to let them come in, and then one of them wins it. Who did I say was 31? Senior, I know, was 32.
How about a 2X? How about a 2XL for 5,000 subs? Us 2XL guys need this.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna spin it again.
Don't discriminate against us 2XLs.
I don't know who 31 was. Rob C. Me. The guy Rob C. Larry has won 2 things on this channel and 1 over on Eric's channel, and he's won all the prizes. But I don't see anybody that claims.
Is there any truth
31.
to the rumor that Rob is related to you guys? And that you're really just funneling these gifts to family members?
Not to me, unless his full name is Roberta.
Do I need to bring up the fantasy league from the Krug show and the improprieties that were done there?
Yes, please. We love the inside scoop stories.
Let me see if we got my email.
Those are the best.
We can't even go into that.
Philip, I got your email. Thank you. All right, so we didn't have 31. We did not have 31 was not in. All right, this is crazy. Every time I do this, it gets nuts. So can you mark this down, Los? Or Ryan, where's my producer? Where's my producer on
Where are
this
your
thing?
interns?
Come on. What's this?
Where's the office manager? Where's HR?
I know. I
Where's
need
the
help on this.
doorman?
I can't run this thing by myself here. All right. So we're going to take the screen down, and we've got how many giveaways? We got 31. All right. We're going to do it again. All right. 31 is senior. 31 is senior this time. And I don't know who else was in there, but I'm just going to stop it there. Kyle. Oh, Kyle, you were 30, right? Yeah. All right.
Can I get a little football talk in?
Oh, wait a minute. Was it Kyle? Kyle was 31. That's right. Kyle was 31. I said he was 31. All right. Kyle.
Feel like I'm on
Kyle
let's make a deal. Come on down, Rob. The price is right. Let's make a deal. Truth or consequences.
This is crazy. I hate
32,000
doing
pyramid.
these contests. Every time we do these contests, it gets screwed up.
I just need the background music. Dun, 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 dun.
People come in at the end, and
Oh my
can't
God.
tell who's.
You know what I love about this show? I love the pace. I love the pace. I mean, it's just slow as hell.
I'm sending.
Seriously, I feel like
Kyle.
we're.
That's it. I'm done.
I'm doing my show. I feel like there's a pace. We're cooking. We're moving back. We're cooking. We all. I come over here. I feel like we're sitting back. We're like cooking. Something's on the stove. We got all day here. I mean, we got pauses. We're looking stuff up.
All right, we are done with
Our pace. The pace over here. It's a slower pace. This is like. I like playing in like 4.5 hours. This is like a 5 hour and 45-minute pace that Danny's on right here. Danny's like looking for balls and replacing divots and doing all kinds of washing his ball at the ball marker. He's taking all kinds of time.
The Krug show is a Kip Kingsbury hurry up offense all the time.
We play best ball. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's almost like speed golf. Kind of like Sinbad. Did you see House Guest with Sinbad? It was kind of like that.
Sinbad and the Seven Seas. That's
check
old
out
school.
Lowe's. I told him tonight. I said, "Hey, short show, only 9 o'clock, because we've been cutting our shows to an hour and 15 minutes.
Why?
But,
depriving the people of what they love.
Yeah,
the late night stuff.
I like my extra time.
You need to get your lumpia in. That's what you need.
Yeah, Larry, I love that. Dan's over there washing his balls.
But it's playoff weekend. We need to talk a little bit, and the national championship games tomorrow. We got to talk Notre Dame.
Let's get to it. I mean, the pace on this show. Can we talk about something? Let's talk about something.
No, we're doing these giveaways. Dun, 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 dun.
We're reading a goddamn phone book, staring at each other. You're talking, Sam, and we got Bob. I feel like it's a romper room. I see Sally. I see Johnny. Do you remember romper room?
Yep. That little.
As a kid, you're like waving at the TV. Hey. Do they see me?
Who was hotter, Wonder Woman or the almighty Isis? Since we're going old school.
I can't even, no reference on the almighty.
Almighty Isis. Look her up. She was hot. But I think.
Are you talking about Linda Carter, Wonder Woman?
Linda Carter's hard to beat. She's hard to beat.
She
in
was,
her prime.
She was
maybe
wonderful.
Daisy Duke. Give her a run. The Dukes of Hazzard.
Danny's got to throw a bullpen here, so we better get rolling.
Yeah, this ball was caught by me May 15th, 1980. Off the bat of Willie McVey. Don Robinson was pitching for the Pirates. Wow. Yeah, 1980, my senior year in high school.
Larry, have you ever caught a foul ball at a game, at a Giants game?
Yes, I have.
I'm the only one that hasn't. Jeez.
I've caught 3.
Me too. 3.
Yeah, I caught 3. I was with my dad, sitting down the right field line, like right first row. And Marcus Jensen hit a rocket. He was a left-handed rookie. He had bat speed from Skyline High School, I think. And Jensen, he ripped it, and I put my hand out. Oh gosh, and it just crushed my hand, went right back, and it just fell down. And I picked it up. That was
you're in that one.
Yeah, that was bad. Then Giants Cardinals doubleheader, second game of a doubleheader. I moved down right behind the screen, and the game went into the late innings, and Tommy Herb bunted, and it went right over the screen, right in my lap. I was like, boop, right there.
Wow.
Thank you. And then right after the strike, what year was that? 95? After the strike? Yeah, 95.
94 was the strike. 94.
Yeah, so 95. When the baseball started, like the first or second game I went to in 95, I'm sitting on like the third base side, and Barry Bonds pops up, and it was kind of a cue ball shot, and I reached back and caught it in two hands.
My best one, I was with my friend. We were in high school. I think we were like juniors. We drove to the game, and we were sitting Giants Dodgers, and Davey Lopes was batting, and I don't know, maybe 15, 18 rows behind the plate. And for whatever reason, I grabbed the catcher's glove that day, and I took the catcher's glove, and he happened to hit a foul tip that just went right over the screen that was coming. It seemed like about 80 to 90 miles an hour. This older gentleman was sitting right behind me eating a hot dog. And I remember him going, "Oh, thanks, man. You saved me." Because it just went pow, right smack into the glove. And I was just cracking up because I don't know why I brought the catcher's glove. It's just something my brothers and I we had a catcher's glove because we always used to play pitch. Someone was pitching and someone was catching. And so that was a good one. And then the other one I got was the one from Willie McVey. And then I caught one at an A's game. I was out in left field. And this was actually batting practice. So I was out there, and all the kids this is about maybe 7, 8 years ago. My brother got us in early to the A's game. So we're in there, and that left field, I guess it's kind of like that tunnel that maybe they take vehicles down there, and there's this big gap there's a rail, and you're leaning over. Somebody hit it right over the rail, and I'm leaning over the rail with my glove, and I caught it. And then I was some little kid was wanting a ball, and thinking they were playing. I can't remember who they were playing, the A's, but the visiting team. I was like, throw the ball. I was trying to get somebody to throw the ball to me, and he's like, not going to throw it to me, an old dude. I said, no, I want to give it to this little girl right here. I'm pointing. I go, it's for her. So he threw it to me and then gave it to the girl. It was kind of fun. But, it's just when you go out there. That was fun catching the ball, though, because I had just had a concussion a year or two earlier, and I was out there. I'm like, I don't know if I can judge a ball because I was still having some symptoms, and the thing just came. I'm like, whoa, reached over and grabbed it. It was pretty fun. But
I was, as you're saying this, I was thinking about all the different years of going out to the ballpark. What year would you say, as far as what age, would you say you were most into baseball? Like if you were like where you were just like really, really in love with it. The most. Some people, it's a different answer for different people, right? Some people didn't even watch baseball until they were 45, and then my grandmother didn't watch football until like 1980, and then she was like diehard until she died. I mean, she was diehard.
The Giants made a really good run in '78 with Altobelli as the manager, and I was 11 years old, and honestly, I say this a lot on the show, Larry. I think I liked the game a lot more when I was young and I was a kid, and it was a genuine game, and I didn't get caught up into the business side of things or, free agents or this and that. You just went for the love of the game because you played the game, and you went out there early for take the 29th sunset, go out there for batting practice early, and just see all these and just be in awe when you walk through the stands and you see the ballpark and see the grass. And, Candlestick wasn't a great stadium, but it was our stadium. And just, so I think at a younger age, that kind of teenage years, 11, 12, 13, probably be the best for me, even though the teams other than the 78 team were not that good. If you love the game, you love the game. So that's it for me.
I think for me, it was 12 to 18 in that range. Cause I remember playing Little League when I was 10 in 71, the Giants won the division and they lost to the Pirates. I was disappointed because my uncle had had tickets for the World Series because he knew some high up people. He was a pretty good attorney in the city. In fact, he was the attorney for the Mortabitos when he sold the team to Eddie D. So he represented the Mortabitos on that sale for the 49ers. But I think that when I was 10, I remember the games vividly. The Giants won game 1 and then they lost the next 3. A guy by the name of Bob Robertson went crazy in the
big power hitter for the Pirates.
Yeah, big. It was just a 5-game series back then, and the Pirates won it 3-1. But I remember
they won the whole thing that year.
They beat the Orioles in 7 games. Roberto Clemente hit a home run in Game 7. Pittsburgh won 2-1 in Game 7 over Baltimore. That was the pitching staff that had 4 20-game winners for the Orioles.
Cuellar and Dobson and McNally and Palmer.
And Palmer.
Yeah, that was, for me, 78 was a magical year. I was only 8, but it was a magical year. I spent the 77 summer with my relatives in Chicago, and they were big White Sox and Cub fans, and just spending the entire summer there. It was like baseball was huge there, like huge. Like it was bigger there than it was here. Like, and when I meant that, what I mean, like their grocery store, their like Safeway or whatever was this, it was called Jewel. And every time you went to Jewel, as they're giving you like your receipt, you would say Cubs or White Sox, and they would give you a picture of whatever their Cub or White Sox was, right? And so we would get them. They would always give us one, and that was like a big deal. And that that summer, the White Sox and the Cubs both contended, the 77 Cubs and the 77 White Sox. They both were good, and we went to tons of games. And the Cubs were on TV, which in 1977, being on TV every day was like what? I mean, think about that. The Giants were not on. Giants were on TV like 17 times or something in 1977. The Cubs were on TV every single day, and baseball was huge. And we played a lot of baseball and during the day with the other kids in the neighborhood. So I just became a huge fan in 77. And
I love that 78 team. That 78 team was fun.
It was amazing. They got Vita Blue, and they had Bob Nepper.
Yeah, Bob Nepper, John
Montefiusco, Ed
Halicki.
Jim Barr.
And then they had
Minton was the closer. Lavelle was the setup
they had Randy Moffett and Gary Lavelle.
Minton wasn't there yet?
Minton
Moon Man wasn't there yet.
No, he was. Yeah, he was. Minton was there in 78. He was.
He was there in
78? But he wasn't the closer though.
No, it was Moffett.
It was Lavelle.
Yeah,
but
back in the day when you didn't have to throw 98 to be the closer, right?
Oh, Herndon and Whitfield and
Jack Clark.
Didn't that 78 team have Billy North?
Clark, you had Bill Madlock and McCovey.
Darrell
Evans. You had Darrell Evans at third.
Yeah.
Bob Andrews was their second.
Lemaster was a very good defensive shortstop.
Yes, he was.
Number 10.
He had Mark Hill behind the plate. He couldn't hit at all.
Yeah.
Neither could Mike Sadek.
No,
but
you had Tamargo too.
John Tamargo,
yeah.
Mark Hill.
Yeah. Oh, remember old Dennis Littlejohn? I think he was on that team for a bit too.
Yeah, I can remember that. I was at the Sunday game when they made a big deal in 1980 to take McCovey out of the game and replace him with Rich Murray. Like Rich Murray was going to be awesome. He was Eddie Murray's little brother. Yeah. And it was like Rich Murray. Here, by goes McCovey. Here comes Rich Murray. It's like, oh my gosh.
You know what's
Rich Murray.
you know what's funny, guys, is when I watch the old games on TV now, or just pop them on YouTube, and for that matter, you could say it for basketball or football. You look up into the crowd, and nobody's wearing uniforms. Jerseys.
No.
Like, when did they really start selling jerseys to the public to wear? Was it like the mid to late 80s? Because
I can remember being at the game, and if a guy walked by in a jersey, you'd be like, look at the guy in the jersey.
Yeah, it was so rare.
Look at the guy in the jersey. Hey,
I had a Jack Clark. I had a Jack Clark orange one that he signed. I don't know to this day where the heck it went.
Yeah.
Go pick a game. Go pick a game and watch anything in the late 70s and look in the crowd, and everybody's got a derby or a pullover, but they're not wearing jerseys. It was very rare. Very rare. Bless you. Yeah.
That's a good point.
I don't know why they didn't sell that and market that. Like, it's a moneymaker. Like, you want to represent your team.
I'll tell you, by the way, just after watching the games this weekend, quick thought, since we're, just total yanked the conversation different direction. Sorry to do that. But if you're looking for a good wager, I think I might take a look at the Commanders right now for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because, think about it. They got a little magic going.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels, if they win this next game, Philly's, Hurts looks hurt to me.
Yeah.
And we'll see. They're going to lie about it, but I would bet he's not moving great next week.
Is there a line on that game yet, Larry? Is there a line?
I don't know what it is. I don't know. I could look in my email. I may have.
I can look real quick.
And I just think Washington's playing with house money. They're loose. That kid's playing great. He's got good weapons. They're tough. They lost Cosme, the guard, for the year, so he's done. So they're gonna have to replace their guard. But
5.5. 5.5 is the line right now.
Yeah, Eagles by 5.5.
Yeah,
I like Washington. I like Washington.
KC's by 1.5 favorite. KC 1.5. That
I don't know who's going to win. KC, Buffalo. How do you go against Mahomes? What the heck? Mahomes is Mahomes. It seems like they get all the calls too, so it's like you also feel like that's. Some of those.
Hey, by the way,
weekend, two of them were just
Sean Proctor. I was talking to Sean Proctor yesterday. We were texting about Mahomes and his shenanigans on the sidelines and stuff, and I said, I hope somebody just drills him. And did you see what Jake the Snake Plumber said?
No.
Let me see if I can pull it up on a tweet. It's pretty funny.
Dallas is Commanders plus 750 to win the Super Bowl.
I like that.
Yeah, 750. Come on, 7.5 to 1 right now on the Commanders. Think about it. If they get into that game, that's Jaden Daniels playing the Super Bowl in the same place where he played college ball, basically. And that back, right there, he went to LSU. That would be an enormous angle on that game.
I love that Aikman is a commentator, and he was an old school quarterback, and he didn't get these calls when he played. He calls it as it is. He sees the play, and he's like, oh, come on, you got to be kidding me. I love that about him.
I like Aikman, too. I'll say the guy who absolutely is making me want to go through the TV and just pull him out and beat him is Tony Romo.
Oh, Romo.
I can't stand Tony Romo anymore. Tony Romo is just like, he's like, here's the whole season. And it's like, what? Out of nowhere, he says these erratic things in the middle of the broadcast, and then takes it back in the next sentence, and he's just weird. He's kind of a flaky broadcaster.
What do you think of Brady in the booth?
And I don't like play before play either. I don't like people guessing the play every time. Brady's horrible.
Yeah.
Brady I love Brady as a guy, but he has had some of the most awkward, bad. That was an incredible catch made by him on that play. It's like he's very stiff. He's just. I don't know how. It's not natural. He's not.
He signed a long-term guaranteed deal, right? So they're not going to be coming off of him anytime soon or firing him, right?
Not from what I heard. I heard they're going to make up an excuse, and he's going to be a Raider person, only next year. We'll see.
If Ben Johnson is smart, he does not go to the Raiders.
Oh, he's going to the Raiders.
Is he?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's going to go to the Raiders for just like mass. Yeah. Here's the deal. The Raiders interviewed some underling guy from the Lions, who's obviously Ben Johnson's like hand-picked personnel guy. And Ben Johnson's going to come in and have his hand-picked internal GM, the GM, and then he's going to have total control of the personnel, and he's going to make record-setting money. Huge, the most money of anybody in the league. Big money, long term, with his own hand-picked young GM that he can, push around. That's the way it's going down. I mean,
if Ben goes there, you think he's
going there? He's going there.
He's going to target Cam Ward in the draft. If he's there,
I don't know who he's going to target. I'd target Cam Ward in the draft if I were him, but they don't have the first pick.
Who has it? Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee.
Fuji says, Larry, remember Brady's the enemy. He's a Sarah guy.
That's right.
Me and Larry are in agreement there.
The only thing that we know for sure is that Sarah's a girl's name.
Now you wait a minute. You're Sacred Heart, right, Los?
Let's not bring up Sacred Heart.
And Larry's SI and Lou's SI.
He's where the Bruce Mahoney occasionally resides. I'm where the Bruce Mahoney currently resides. And I guess at this point it might be the right time to say, SH, you're phony. We got the Bruce Mahoney. Do we have to go there? Hey, you, there's nothing you can do. I said you just can't stop that cat machine.
We're quite baloney. Yeah. I can't say nothing.
I could drop a We Are SI on you.
Did you how many times did you win the Mahoney, Los, when you were playing?
Oh, I lost once to St. Ignatius in 4 years of playing baseball, freshman year. I've never lost to them JV and varsity. They did have a good friend of mine.
What year were you?
I was 81 to 85. Your best player was Gus Gamosius.
I know Gus Gamosius. Great guy.
Yeah, hell of an athlete. Yeah, me and him went to Holy Name together.
What? Oh, okay. So it's like Steve Scalini and all those guys who played for SI?
Yep. Doug Shank, Gerald Twasson. Yeah, I know all those guys. But they got us in basketball. We got them in baseball. Sacred Heart had a great baseball program when we were there. So, yeah, it was good. It was a great rivalry. Both of us beat up on Reardon, that's for sure.
I remember we used to play strikeout at the Salesian Boys Club, and almost all the best hitters from
Salesian. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Almost all the best hitters from our strikeout games went to SH and played baseball.
Did you play strikeout, Dan? That's the box against the wall with the X.
Oh yeah, you mean
tennis ball? I used to play at Francis Scott Key. I used to play strikeout.
Oh, it's a city game. Basically, in the city, we didn't have parks that much, so we would take a tennis ball, and you could just either chalk or tape up the strike zone on any wall, and we just start pitching and game on. I mean, seriously, we're hitting rockets. I mean, in schoolyards and churches, and we're breaking windows. And there was one across the street at St. Ignatius High School. They had a huge wall. I would literally spend almost all of like a Saturday. I'd bring my transistor radio. This is my routine. I would invite a buddy over. They'd show up at my house at like 10, have a little, whatever, something to drink or eat, and then go play little hoops, and then go bring our bats and tennis ball and play strikeout from like all afternoon until from like 12 until like 5. And
wait a minute.
So it was the greatest game of all time because you were either pitching or you were hitting. So if you like baseball, those are the two things. And you had to be able to do both. That was the other great thing. It's like if you were going to be any good, unless you're going to get your butt kicked every day, you had to be able to pitch and hit. And it was fun, man. It was fun.
George says St. Ignatius had more calls this year than the Chiefs.
No, they beat Sacred Heart by like 26, so I don't think they needed any calls.
Even our girls are kicking your girl's ass. I mean, seriously, we're dominant. I mean,
Fuji
you guys,
says Larry Reardon is actually doing well in sports now. It's a miracle, and it's co-ed now. Okay.
It took them to get co-ed to finally start doing well in ball.
Wait a minute. So you were 81 to 85, Lowe's?
Yeah.
And Larry, you must have been 83, 87 then, right?
no, I was 84 to 88.
84 to 88. Okay. So
3 years behind.
okay. So
My brother
so
was
Larry's
79 to 83.
Larry's a youngster.
What we-
on the show right
What
now.
were
That's
you,
why he wants to
Los,
come
again?
on.
What was your
81 to 85.
85? So you were like a senior when I was a freshman.
Yeah, I have a friend from grammar school. He's a realtor now, Tim Toda. He says he knows your brother, Larry. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah,
Tim Toda.
sounds right.
Sounds
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, yeah, hey, I'm older now, so I pull for the city schools. So, believe it or not, I pull for SI when they play Mady or Sarah, Reardon. I always going to pull for the city schools now. Galileo, Washington.
So who's the best athlete ever to come out of SI and Sacred Heart?
I'd say Joe Cronin for Sacred Heart. He's a Hall of Fame baseball player.
Yeah.
That's the one that comes off the top of my head.
I mean,
Dan Fouts went to SI.
Quarterback.
Sarah's got Brady, Bonds, and Swan, right?
That's hard to beat.
Greg Jeffries.
Oh,
Greg
Greg Jeffries. Okay,
He went there, too.
guy, he played with the Brewers, right? Greg Jeffries.
The Mets.
Played with the Mets.
Oh,
He was
Mets.
a hitter
That's right.
too.
I think he did with the. I always thought him with the.
Oh, I went head to head with Jeffries. Yeah, he's an arrogant dude.
Jeffries was he burst onto the scene.
Oh, he could hit. Switch hitter. He could
We were
hit.
talking
He was a
about
great
this the other
player.
day. Who would
Kevin-
have had Bill
Danny,
Russell, Vada Pinson, and Frank Robinson? Was it McClymonds?
McClymonds.
Yeah. Jeez.
Kevin Gogan went to Sacred Heart too. The
Kevin
offensive
Gogan,
lineman. Yeah, his locker was above mine. He was 3. I had to wait until he was done with his locker because he was such a massive dude. My locker was right below him. It's like, can you hurry? And he knew I was waiting. It's like, you're gonna wait, freshman. Sit back. I'm 6'6", 320. What are you gonna do?
That guard that was really good a few years ago. What's his name? Trammell. He was an SI guy, I think. Yeah.
There's some good talent coming out of the city, but the East Bay had its talent too. Jason Kidd went to St. Joseph's.
That's right.
Of course, Bill Russell. Where did Bill Russell go to school? USF.
We went to USF.
Oh,
yeah.
USF.
High school. He went to McClymonds.
Yeah.
Gary Payton went to Skyline.
Yeah.
J.R. Ryder went to Encinal.
You got some
J.R. Ryder
Oakland
was
Tech
badass.
in there. You got Castlemont that had some guys. I mean, the OAL was that's who we used to have to play sometimes. We were in the Diablo Valley Athletic League, the DVAL. We played Pittsburgh and Antioch and Mount.
Don't forget Orenthal James Simpson went to Galileo.
Yeah, Galileo, right. That's
My
right.
grandmother went to Galileo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, city's got some great talent back in the day. Not so much anymore. I think a lot of talent left the city and went out to the suburbs. I mean, who
It's
can
going
afford
out more to the suburbs? Like Joe Mixon and oh gosh.
I heard Joe Shasky's coaching over at Reardon, Larry. You hear that?
Coaching what?
He's coaching baseball.
Is he?
With Bill Lasky. Bill Lasky and Joe Shasky at Rams.
Lasky and Shasky?
Lasky and Shasky.
Are you kidding me?
I heard that.
Lasky and Shasky?
Joe's always rocking the Reardon hat on the show with Monte. Like, oh, okay. Have to give him a little crap on that.
It says, "Hey Dan, play the epic tweet for Larry." What's the epic tweet?
The epic tweet.
The Eric tweet. Eric tweet.
Oh, the Eric tweet. Oh, okay. Who said this?
Senior softball games.
Oh, okay. Let me pull that up. I was trying to think of why am I forgetting his name? The Najee Harris and Joe Mixon are both out there in the Antioch area. You mentioned the suburbs.
No. Joe Mixon was from not there.
Brentwood?
But
I
no,
know
Joe
he's out
Mixon's
there
from like what's Freedom High School? Where's that? It's like near Union City, I think. That's where he's from.
Okay. I know that.
Freedom.
You mean Logan? Logan High School in Union City?
No, not there.
Freedom. I never heard of Freedom.
You can look it up. It's not where. It's not.
What was the worst field in San Francisco to play a baseball field, Larry? For me, it was Glen Park. Horrible. If it rained, if it drizzled, the outfield was drenched. You couldn't even run out there. Glen Park for me, the worst field.
Well, it's hilarious that you would say that because like we had this. I coached my 14-year-old in juniors a year ago, and we're out here in Pleasant Hill, and it had rained the night before, and it was a little damp between first and second. That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we can't start this game for 2.5 more hours. Safety reasons. I'm like, what? I'm like, you morons. We played games in the middle of parks that there was a 2-foot puddle. You just ran around it. It's like, this isn't the bigs. Nobody's betting on these games. But yeah, as far as best and worst fields, I loved all those. I loved all the fields, but I mean, some of the fields had you had to there was like glass in the infield, I would say I can remember in my neighborhood, because we played in all the city parks, but the one South Sunset was both my favorite and least favorite park.
If you played infield, it's your least favorite because there was no grass; it was all dirt infield.
South Sunset, the one that was further south, there was 2 diamonds. There was like a diamond on the north side by the playground. There's a diamond on the south side. Okay.
Oakley. There you go. Oakley.
The diamond on the south side, if you hit a bomb to left, it went into the schoolyard of that school down there. So that was kind of cool. But there was always shards of glass in the infield, and just it was always bad. Like I can remember sliding and just really getting torn up in South Sunset. Also, it was really dry. It was really open, so the ground got really dry. It was. I loved that park because I could walk from my house, and we would walk from our house down to South Sunset. And figured that was like 43rd and Vicente or something like that, or 44th and Vicente.
That sounds right.
We lived on 35th and Rivera, so it was a pretty healthy walk. But we used to walk down there, and I used to ride our bikes, and I used to love playing there because it's, I was a right-handed hitter, and I would hit it over that fence, and then I'd get the circle bases.
I loved West Sunset.
Was in Oakley.
That's West Sunset. This is South Sunset.
No, I know. I loved West Sunset.
West Sunset. Well, West Sunset was much nicer. Nicer.
And then Sacred Heart's home games was at Funston down in the marina.
There you go.
My dad, as a kid, played a ton at Funston. My dad played tons of Funston. My dad used to live in North Beach, and they would walk to Funston to play their games.
Oh, sweet. Oh, those are good memories, man.
Yeah.
My
dad actually used to run the Salesian Boys Club.
Am I muted or something?
Oh, okay. What's that, Danny?
I was wondering if I'm muted. Let me see if I could get a word in here. All right. Joe Mixon, Oakley High, or out in Oakley, Freedom High School. There it is.
Freedom High School.
Oakley. Okay, yeah, that's on
Oakley. Okay.
That's in the
so
Highway 4. Highway 4.
Here's this thing that Eric put together on Twitter today. First day back in the gym for the Giants. Here it is.
I ain't as good as I once was, but I was good as I ever was. Man, you like it.
5 times. And they got to be full.
Oh, shit. Hell no. Get this shit. I ain't as good as I once was, but I can see it again. Man, you like it.
5 times.
Was that
they got to be full.
Oh, shit.
Look at him shaking. What is that? Bench broke.
Oh, geez. I ain't as good as I once was. Oh, man.
That's going to be the Giants in the middle of June, in the middle
Hey,
of the
Larry,
series.
speaking of the Giants, what do you think of? Let me see if I can pull it up before
I think the A's might have a better record than the Giants this year. I really do. The A's got some talent.
Yeah, Giants have no Rooker.
Oh man,
You want to get a few A's like Rooker on your fantasy baseball team because they're gonna hit a ton at that ball in Sacramento. Ball flies there. Jesus.
Okay, I found their Giants homepage, and they've got Willy Adames on there. Larry,
Okay.
what do you think? What do you think of this for the third straight year? Notice anything? Nothing like it. They're bringing it back again.
You mean the
The slogan.
Sure.
the
There it is.
slogan?
It's right on their. It's right on their page. Nothing like it. They haven't changed it. They changed the font.
Ah.
It's a new font. The slogan remains the same.
Different font, same catchphrase.
Nothing.
Yeah,
Maybe
there is.
Hey, wait a second. I think we actually have centered on the new slogan for this year. It has a nice, catchy ring to it. I think I could see the fans chanting it. Here it is. Different font. What do you guys think? Giants baseball 2024, different font.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness. Nothing like
Because that's
it.
basically what they've done. They've changed just the font.
Yeah.
They got Verlander to replace the best pitcher in the league, Blake Snell, and somebody's going to argue that's an upgrade.
I think the worst Giants slogan in their history of the game was in '85 when they lose 100 games. Real sunshine, real grass, real baseball, and real lousy. 100 losses that year.
Bad.
I
That
can
was the
see this.
worst. Their
What do you think of
marketing
this?
department stinks.
What do you think of this?
Jesus.
I can see this happening where Sacramento, something falls through in Vegas, and Sacramento is going to go crazy over the A's. You're going to have the A's
They
are
are.
going to be something a little more exciting this year. They're going to have like 14,000 a game, but it's going to feel like 30 because it's packed and it's going to be loud, and it's Major League Baseball in a town that's starving for pro franchise. And I bet you baseball ends
Yeah,
up
it's going to be, let's go see, Major League Baseball in town.
Yes.
And that's pretty special. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. But Sacramento's a great town.
It is.
There is no better weather than in Northern California than nighttime in Sacramento between June and September. It is absolutely glorious at night. The stadium is actually on the water.
Yeah.
It's on the what is it, Sacramento River, I believe, right there. It's not the American River, but I think it's the Sacramento River. And it's a quaint little stadium. It's easy to get to, but I mean, nighttime weather is so nice, so nice. I mean, I'm talking about put on a pair of shorts, bring a t-shirt, maybe a light sweatshirt, maybe not even. It's gonna be like no humidity, 75, 80. You're going to sit outside and talk and have a beer. You're going to love it. Absolutely love it. And you're going to watch Major League Baseball, and it could be and maybe there's some exciting teams rolling in. Here come the Yankees, and it's Aaron Judge, and the place is going to be bumping. And they're going to sit there and they're going to be like, you know what? We have so much momentum here. Let's just stay here. Because you know what Sacramento offers you? It offers you both. It offers you the new market with the new fans and because there's all these other people that will come there from the foothills and all the people who live in Tahoe. They'll go to Sacramento to see Major League Baseball and go back up the hill. It's summertime. There's no big deal. It's no big deal to drive to Cameron Park or El Dorado Hills or Pollock Pines or Tahoe or Reno or one of those places from Sacramento. So lots of people will come. There's tons of people that live in those places that have disposable income, that have the time, and would come if it was marketed right and they had a good time.
I like it.
I just
There's
think
a lot of there's money up. There's money up there, guys. You got to remember, a lot of people move from the Bay Area up there. There's definitely money. You're right on that.
I think he's saying the Giants will be competing with the A's. I think he meant for fans from Reading to Stockton. Yeah, I think people are going to flock. I mean, I think every game's already sold out from what I hear, and it's going to be really hard to get a ticket to see a game, and it's going to be similar to what OKC. Remember when New Orleans had Katrina and then moved to OKC for basketball for a season, and OKC went nuts and they got an expansion franchise.
Totally.
It's
going to be Sacramento's. It's going to be Sacramento's. If Sacramento's smart, they'll put their best foot forward, and they'll get some momentum going. And because look at it this way, if you're the A's, you can't stay in Oakland. The facilities run down. There's no hope of it ever getting better, and it's just not going to happen there. What should happen, if you really want to talk about this logically and what's smart and everything, what should happen is the real value is keeping the franchise in the Bay Area, and Major League Baseball should force Fisher to sell to somebody who would be willing to build at the Coliseum site. And they could play in Sacramento in the short term and then go and be like a regional team that plays, your schedule in Oakland in this new facility and plays 20 games a year up in Sacramento.
Oh, that's a great idea.
In your Sacramento thing, and commandeer both regions with
Didn't
Major
the Warriors
League Baseball.
do that when they became Golden State Warriors back way back? Weren't they a regional team for a little while?
I think they were doing some maybe when they were building the Coliseum, they were maybe I know they're at the Cow Palace, but they may have done some stuff at the Civic and the Cow Palace. I'm not sure exactly the dates on a lot of that. In the origins of a lot of these leagues, I mean, they're all grown up now and all have palaces but there was a lot of people that did some sharing of facilities and things unique. Teams played in some less than stellar facilities. As far as what it's viable in the future, I mean, I think Vegas, going from the Bay Area to Vegas going from Northern California to Vegas, I think is a mistake. I really do. I know it's short term. It might be great for Fisher. Short term, it might create some excitement for baseball, but the love of the A's is here in Northern California, and it's just that they've been poorly run and their facility's bad, and their fan base is here, and there's a lot of passion for it. And I just think that if they put it in Sacramento, you're going to have the best of all worlds. You'll have a new facility, or newish facility, a new kind of look, and all kinds of new fans, and also the ability of your old fans who are really passionate to still go. And that's the thing. That's the part that sucks, is the walking away from all these people that love them. And granted, it's not enough, but that's the part that sucks. So if they went to Sacramento, it's like I wouldn't feel as bad, because at least those people, if they wanted to support them, they could just, they could drive up there. It's not that big of a deal. I went to college there. There were many weekends where I drove down to the city, spent a weekend, and went back to Sacramento, and it's not a ridiculous drive. It's pretty doable.
How smart? Go ahead, Los.
I was going to say, Manfred's talking about two expansion teams coming in 29. And the three cities that seem to be coming up the most are Portland, Nashville, and Montreal. So if the A's don't make it work in Northern California and Sacramento, maybe they might move to one of those cities that the other two expansion teams don't go to, or that do go to.
I mean, Nashville, I know, is exploding.
Yeah.
As
Who's
far as
the
there's a lot of
team?
tech there. There's a lot of population growth there.
Like the Green Bay Packers, they play most of their games in Green Bay, and I think this year they played them all. But for years, they would play 1 or 2 games in Milwaukee.
Right.
And
they were all on one sideline. I remember that.
Yeah. How smart would it have been for the Giants? They had the River Cats up there. If they would have started playing a few games a year in Sacramento, but actually bought land up there, these guys that love real estate, built the 40,000 seat stadium in Sacramento and played 25 games a year, 30 games up in Sacramento. And they would own, imagine the people like you get from, like you said, from Tahoe, come down all the way, people from Reading, just Major League Baseball in that area, and play the night game. I mean, you would probably attract some pretty good free agents. I mean, but the Giants missed that. They could have done something like that. And
totally.
I mean, they had their own ballpark paid for. So it's not like, hey, we don't need to fill it to make payment. We can go fill another stadium up and increase. I mean, the Dodgers are doing this with Japan. They're increasing their fan base all over the place.
It will be interesting to see what the impact of Vegas will be. I mean, I would imagine that has potential to do some amazing things. I mean, I could see like a mid-season tournament in Vegas, where you had people going to games, twice, both in the daytime and the nighttime in the same stadium, a big, in that brand new stadium, and all the people going to Vegas. I mean, they're always looking for attractions to drive people to Vegas, and I could see, baseball doing kind of like, an all-star game situation in Vegas and have it be real, tons of people going there. And I could see it. I could see Vegas. There's a lot of potential for Vegas to be a destination for baseball to utilize. But baseball's problem, I think, right now is just that their game it's the only game of all the major sports where the game is less visually compelling and dynamic than it was in the 70s and 80s. I mean, football's not that way, basketball's not that way, but baseball is that way because the athletes that played the game are not playing the game, and so you don't have the same game. So many of the greatest players are athletes that don't typically play the game anymore. So it's really the game has changed quite a bit. And I don't think it's like we're talking about, guys like Ricky Henderson passing this year. There's no Ricky Henderson. I mean, what? Ricky Henderson? I mean, he stole 130 bases. I mean, he was amazing. I mean, he was an incredible athlete. There's nobody like that. Nobody steals 100 bases, let alone 130 bases.
There's no Pete Rose that can hit like that.
There's no Vince Coleman. There's no Willie McGee.
The game. I just did a video.
There's no Willie McCovey.
No.
I just did a video yesterday on the Dodgers. Is it the greatest rotation ever? And I'm like, the Orioles in 71, we just talked about earlier, 4 20-game winners. It was a 4-man rotation. Now they're talking 6-man rotation. These guys used to throw 40 starts, and they would go 7-8 innings on average.
Yep.
And they would throw 300 innings a season. Now these guys are going, oh, hey, 140 is the max I can get out of my arm. What the heck happened to all the
innings eaters? Yeah, it used to be, guys who could always pitch 200 innings. 200 innings was like nothing. 250 was like nothing. Some of these guys pitched 300 innings.
200 innings, and you were a full-time starter back in the 70s.
I mean, like Ferguson Jenkins. So go look at his baseball card. I mean, that guy just pitched ridiculous.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's true. Yeah, no, I mean, now this rotation, I would say it's, Atlanta had an incredible rotation. Yep. There's been some really good ones. I mean, Detroit in 84 had a really good rotation.
Yeah.
Jack Morris,
Dan Petrie. Who was the bust-out guy that year? There was a bust-out guy there. Did they have Doyle Alexander, maybe?
Was it Fidrich?
No, Fidrich was 76, 77.
That was earlier. That was 70s. All right.
I'm trying to think 84. But I know Willie Hernandez was
the
closer,
closer.
and he came out of nowhere. and was incredible. And they got off to this hot start. They were like 35-5 or something like that. The '84 Tigers were an amazing team. A young Kirk Gibson, Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker. They were really, really good. No, I mean, it's. I'm excited for baseball in March, and I will be in spring training. We are going to go down there. We've got a couple sponsors, and we'll be headed to spring training for a week sometime in March, and I'm excited about it. I just I need the Giants to go add another significant middle of the order bat. I can't pretend that they're near good enough right now. And it's not, it doesn't have to be a free agent. Doesn't have to be a high price guy. Luis Robert and Andrew Vaughn would be awesome, but they need a couple of real hitters. And I don't know if they're going to, they always seem like they leave themselves woefully short in the lineup. And I'm kind of tired of watching it. And hopefully Buster is too. And as a guy who hits, I think maybe he'll have a lower tolerance for pain as far as watching horrendous offensive baseball. I'm hoping again, but that's how I feel. I feel like Buster is too smart of a baseball guy. As a hitter, he was too smart of a hitter to just allow this team to be just horrible offensively. So that means they got to make a significant addition. And I'd like to see a creative trade. I mean, you've got some very tradable assets right now. Doval is a very tradable asset, and you've got a bunch of other things that you could trade as well. So it's just a matter of, Marco Luciano. I don't see a real spot for him right now. I mean, he's got great bat speed, but I mean, he is just absolutely premium trade bait. And send a couple guys like that to the Chi Sox for Vaughn and Robert, and let them, you take the sure thing and let them gamble on a couple, on 3 or 4 of your prospects. And, based on history, I'll take my chance. I'd rather take my chances with that instead of being all in on the Giants prospects. I mean, I hear people talking about some of these prospects, and I'm like, Grant McCray struck out like 37% of the time or something. It's like, I want to believe in him, but I mean, that's way, way, way too high a strikeout rate to be leaned on, right?
Hey, I'm sorry, Dan, I was going to ask Larry, do you have a favorite spring training field that you like in AZ?
It's so funny you said that because I love Talking Stick.
That's
Salt River.
Yeah.
Salt River.
That's my favorite, yeah.
I mean, so I went there. And I got there like early, one morning. I think I might have been the first person there. I mean, we were there like 2 hours before I don't think they opened the park to the fans yet.
Yep.
And it's just the whole outfield thing is just a gigantic berm from left to right, and it's just lush and. I don't know. There's something really cool about it. I just love it. And you sit up there and you can order some tall beers and just sit on the grass. And a bunch of people from the Bay were there, and a lot of people. We had a good time. We had a really good time.
There's some nice fields out
there. Take a look at this, guys. Take a look at this. Which pitch are you taking?
God, I hate playing this game. Who would I rather have there?
That's for a career.
Career.
251. I would say the one on the right.
Yeah, I want.
Why? Because of the strikeouts.
Strikeouts, ERAs are about the same, and just pitch more innings.
Actually, you know what? I'll go the other way. I'll take the other guy. Why? Because he's got about half the walks.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't see that.
And that's a lot less walks. That's a way better pitcher with way better command. And then also got 142 losses instead of 174. That's I don't know.
You got any idea who these two guys are?
None at all.
Yeah,
bet
no, I know
Larry
who
could
both of them are. The guy on the right, whatever. No, I have no idea. Could you imagine?
Ooh, I love Juan, but I'm taking Bob. I love Juan, but Bob is nasty.
It's interesting.
But that,
Look at the command, though. Look at the command. Marichal was a master. Gibson was an overpowering pitcher
these guys averaged
and an
almost
intimidating pitcher.
They averaged almost 8 innings to start in their career.
Did you hear the story about Gibson? His last game pitched in the majors, some guy took him deep, and 20 years later, they're playing in a old timers game, and he drills them. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
That is awesome.
Drilled them with the first pitch. I remember you.
I believe, wasn't he the Braves pitching coach under Joe Torre in '82 when they won? Pretty sure he was the pitching coach for the Braves.
Joe Torre?
No, Gibson. Bob Gibson.
Oh,
Gibson.
okay.
I think was the
Torre
Braves
was the
pitching
manager?
coach in '82 when they had like Rick Camp and Gene Garber and Phil Necro and you remember those Braves teams.
Looks like
Dale Murphy, Bob Horner, Claudel Washington, Brett Butler. Some good Braves teams.
Is Dale Murphy still not
what
made?
I like about
Dale Murphy belongs in the Hall. He was great.
Wow.
you know what I like about
Great
doing
player.
doing these streams is when I make new friends. It looks like I got a new friend in the chat. Where did he go? Yeah, this guy, Brian. Good to meet you, Brian. Dan sucks. What else did he say? He said something else in here. Say something. Say something, Dan. Okay. Well, I'm kind of letting my guests talk. Okay, Brian. But glad to meet you. I'm glad we're on. Oh, here he is, Brian. Sad sack, Dan. Nice to meet you, Brian. Welcome to NorCal Sports Network. Thanks for subscribing. I'm sure you're going to be unsubscribing after the show.
Jesus. Yep. We all have our people that we have disagreements with.
So
that's
Los,
funny.
I heard you had a pretty fiery show the other day. Somebody sent me a note saying, "Hey, Los had a fiery show with Cone. Did you guys have a fiery show? What were you saying, my brother? What kind of fire were you spitting?"
Well, you know I'm not the biggest Shanahan fan, and neither is Grant. So we kind of went.
Were you guys
we were just
celebrating your anti-Shanahan together?
Kind of. Yeah, we were just.
He sucks. You're right.
Comparing notes on different things. I have different angles that he was not aware of that he liked, and he does as well. So, I mean, the thing about it is, I think we both want Shanahan to succeed. We just want him to change some of his ways. You know, like I text you, like I loved your show talking about the '86 draft, and that's what the Niners need to do to move back and accumulate a lot of talent, a lot of players, because they have a lot of holes to fill. But what I really loved you said, because I've been thinking the same thing, you just used the perfect world. The Niners are just very comfortable with each other. And until they get out of that comfort, and they're going to go to Sorensen for special teams, and they're going to go to Staley for defensive coordinator, because they're continuing to be comfortable. And that's exactly one of the things me and Grant talked about. They don't come off of that until they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
You think you think Saleh will get a head coaching job then?
I think he's taking the Jacksonville job. I really do. He wants a head coaching job.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's the read is that, it's, Saleh or Staley, but that's just because I think the 49ers are really all about Saleh. And then if it's not Saleh, I don't think it's like Staley. It's just, I think then they'll open it up to start interviewing Dennis Allen and Lou Anarumo and,
I like Dennis Allen because
any
he's
other
not
number
gonna,
of
he's not
guys.
going to coach anymore, probably as a head coach. I don't see Dennis Allen.
Dennis Allen might be intriguing because, he's kind of failed, and I don't think he's going to get that head coaching job either. I mean, in some cases, I can make an argument that Dennis Allen's better than Saleh. Why? Because, Saleh is probably going to get another head coaching job in this cycle or the next, And if he gets it in the next cycle, then you only have one more year. Then it's more turnover and another coordinator. And, one of the reasons that the Niners, I think, are falling behind Kansas City at this point, and a lot of teams are falling behind Kansas City, is that teams are overreacting to losing to Kansas City, and they're making rash, poor decisions. The Niners did it on the Trey Lance trade. The Browns did it trading Baker Mayfield, or getting rid of Baker Mayfield and trading for Deshaun Watson. The Bengals just fired Lou Anarumo, who's a good coordinator, simply because they were losing and they have to blame somebody. But they really didn't. They lost good defensive players in free agency. DJ Reader bolted to Detroit, so it's like they didn't have as good of defense. So I mean, I don't know. There's always like two angles on a football team. It's either the coach didn't do enough with the talent he was given, or the coach didn't have enough talent. Who do you blame, the GM or the coach? And it's just as old as as day. It's just the way it always is. These two guys are always kind of pitted against each other. It's just kind of the way it is. But you got to make an evaluation. And for me, my thing is that you can park your car in the corner of Shanahan sucks all you want, but he didn't. He's gotten an awful lot done in a short amount of time. They haven't won the championship, and it's disappointing and it's frustrating. But if you really look at it, they lost the Super Bowl. Let's back away and have a little perspective. They lost the Super Bowl to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes twice, with Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. So is it unfortunate? Is it frustrating? Yeah. But is it like, what the hell's going on over there? No, it's not. The bigger problem is that their personnel is eroded, and they've made bad decisions, including the Trey Lance trade. It's caught up with them, and that's it. So I love John Lynch. He's a great guy. He's a great face of the franchise, but they got to figure it out. And they either they had a good draft this year. They better have another good draft like this next year, or they're sunk.
Amen.
And they're going to have to replicate their last draft for the next 2 or 3 years to really have a chance to unseat Mahomes and get to the top of a NFL field that now suddenly is not one team deep. It's like 12 teams deep. And you're going to have to outrun all of these teams that may have an advantage on you. So how you going to do it? You better get creative, and you better start winning in the draft, and you better start drafting real freaking players.
Yes.
No more kickers in the 3rd round. No more punters in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Every time you feel like you've arrived and you can just add a little this or that, add a foundation piece, because you don't have enough foundation pieces. They're the home remodeler that doesn't have a roof and is missing 6 windows and is sitting there looking at plantation shutters and expensive lamps. It's like, you don't have a roof and you don't have windows. Why don't you prioritize that first? Start worrying about your foundation a little bit more and less on these side pieces. Yep. Yeah, is it nice to have a really dependable 3rd round kicker? Yeah, but it's kind of a luxury item, isn't it? Because you need that 3rd round pick to pick, I don't know, Dom Pooney like you did this year. So they blew 10 picks in the first 3 rounds in 21, 22, and 23, and it has come home to roost. And if they don't get serious about their personnel evaluation and start to either hold themselves to higher standards, get new people, new sets of eyes looking at this, change out their process, or figure it out, they're gonna be left behind. So they're at a crucial, I would call this draft crucial, and they need a 15-player draft because they're going to have about a 3-person free agent class because of what they're going to spend on their quarterback. So they got to hit it out of the park in the draft.
Yeah, and one thing I told Grant was that all we talk about, obviously we talk Niners, so we focus on them. But I mentioned to him that we got to understand our competition in the NFC right now is the Eagles, the Rams, the Lions, Commanders are coming up. And those four organizations have one guy and a proven personnel guy that makes very good decisions and have good resumes at picking players. Whereas the Niners have these, we don't know who's making the picks. Is it Kyle? Is it Lynch? Is it whoever? It's like a group discussion about who to pick, where these other four organizations that we got to compete with, we know who's picking for them, and they're good at it. And if the Niners don't fix that, they're going to get passed up real fast if they haven't already.
Yeah. They're just going to have to find really good players. I mean, Detroit, all the great players on Detroit were drafted in 21, 22, and 23.
Yep.
So you know what?
The other thing the Niners
That's what you got to do.
They could have done this past offseason. They had a huge need on the offensive line. The Philadelphia Eagles, watching today Mekhi Becton just destroy and open up holes for Barkley was unbelievable. They could have picked up Becton. He was only like $2-3 million is what he signed for. Why did the Niners think, oh, well, we've got McKivitz, we've got Brendel, we're good. Why not?
I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't fit Shanahan's scheme. He likes linemen that can move and run outside zone. So when you have a scheme, you draft a limited amount of players that fits your scheme, and I'm not crazy about that. How about just draft a great football player and coach him up? How about that? Instead of just limiting yourself to, well, Becton's too big of a guy. He doesn't really move, so we can't use him. You can use him on short yardage.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to see them this year, add some bigger bodied guards. So I think that's going to happen. I mean, they need to redo their offensive line, and it's just a matter of you got to find guys, and I mean, last year I was pounding the table for Zach Frazier. Oh. Zach Frazier was the best rookie center in football this year.
Yep.
He had a great year. I mean, if you had a Zach Frazier and Dom Pooney instead of Ricky Pearsall and Dom Pooney, now you've got, the makings of a dominating interior line. You've got your Creed Humphrey and Joe Tooney, and you're starting to build what the Chiefs had, or have, I should say, and have had for years with different regimes.
Look at
awesome
the Rams
interior
defensive
lines.
line. Look at the Rams, their defensive line.
Oh, Jared Verse and Jared Fisk and Kobe Turner and
they're all young. They're all young.
Niners have to build themselves a defense. They need more speed. They've got to, and they need to rebuild their offensive line, and they need to find some weapons. A receiver, tight end, wide receiver. Running back. They need just people across the board. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, the good news is it's a super deep draft for running backs. It's an amazing draft for tight ends. There's a lot of good running backs and tight ends in this draft. So they're going to be able to get themselves some weapons to help what they've got.
Who do you think, if you're looking at this past year, do you look at someone like Adam Peters as executive of the year for what he did with Washington? I mean, look at. Well, I'm watching.
I would probably give it to Les Snead, to be honest. I mean, you got Jared Verse, Jared Fisk. They had a really good year. I mean, they made the playoffs. I don't think a lot of people thought they were going to, and I don't know. I mean, he's rebuilt that thing. They've Cam Kinchins and good specialists, and put some money into the O-line, and they drafted Puka last year. I mean, they've done some good things. So I would say Les Snead, the GM of the year.
Rams are going to be tough to beat. I think they're ahead of the.
They're not going away.
The Rams are tough. Seattle's going to be tough, and Arizona. I think Jonathan Gannon's a good football coach. There's no doubt in my mind he is. And Monty Austinfort's a good GM. They're not there yet. But yeah, I mean, the 49ers, this is going to be a challenge, man. The division's not going to be a laydown. And now you got Green Bay. Green Bay's not going away. You got Detroit. Detroit's not going away. You got Minnesota. Minnesota's not going away. You got Philadelphia. Philadelphia's not going away. Dallas is going to figure it out. Some of these other teams are going to figure it out as well. So
and you got Washington.
It's on. Jaden Daniels is going to be a star for a long time. I'll give you another one. Atlanta just got Ulbrich to go there with Raheem Morris. And you got Michael Penix. Michael Penix is a stud.
Love Penix.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, so, it's going to be
very competitive.
It's going to be tough. I'm thinking about this Washington game next week with Philly, and I'm thinking if I know Barkley in the 2 games ran for about 150 yards each game. So, I mean, and that's a pretty good defensive line that Washington has. But if they become more one-dimensional because Hurts can't move out of the pocket, they could, with that size of Payne and a couple of the other guys, they could stuff the line a little bit and make Philadelphia have to throw the ball more. That could be an interesting game because
That should be the game plan. They should sell out to stop Barkley.
yes, because
The game in November in Philly scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, and they came from behind and won. It was 7-0 Commanders at the end of the first quarter, 7-3 at half. It was 10-6 Commanders going to the fourth, and the Eagles went off, and their O-line dominated in the second half of that game, and Barkley just made some huge runs, and they just ran it down their throat late. Philly in that game ran 40 times for 228 yards, 5-7 a carry, and they just ran Washington right off Philly's field. That was the first matchup. But in the second matchup, Commanders beat them, and it was 36-33. And that was the game where Hurts was hurt, and they went with Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett came off the bench. He threw a pick. Jaden Daniels threw 5 touchdowns and ran for 9 times for 81 yards. And
I like Washington in this game. And the weather, I looked at it. It's not going to, no snow. It should be in the high upper 30s, maybe close to 40. At least that's the forecast for now. It could change, but
yeah, I like Washington. I like Washington on the road.
Yeah,
I kind of like both road teams. I kind of like Buffalo on the road too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another Washington. Didn't we have Washington, Buffalo 93?
Yeah.
93?
Doug Williams.
Yeah. Wow. That would be
exploded in the second quarter, right?
Yeah.
Did he go off in the second quarter against?
Yeah.
That wasn't that the that was the last of Buffalo's 4 losses.
Yeah.
Wasn't that 1-year wonder running back for Washington went crazy in that game? He didn't have much of a career.
Timmy Smith.
Timmy
That's
Smith,
right. Timmy Smith. What do you guys think of the game today with the Rams? Like you kept hearing, who was the commentator? Was it Collinsworth on the Rams game? I can't remember who was. I think it was Collinsworth.
Who had that game? That was Fox. No, it was Fox, wasn't it?
Was that Brady?
Was it Brady? Yeah, it was Brady. It was Brady and Burkhardt.
No, it wasn't the Rams game today?
Oh, no. They had the Detroit game, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't. I thought it was
game.
Collinsworth. Seems like I remember hearing Collinsworth talk. But he kept saying
right.
he was talking about the Rams and the hurry up offense. And he was saying the Rams had the Eagles on their backs. They couldn't substitute. And then at the end of the game, they would go out of bounds, and then they had the clock stop, and they were huddling up, and it gave Philadelphia a chance to make some substitutions. And I thought that was really interesting because McVey when he went to the hurry up, they couldn't stop the Rams. And they got all the way down to the 17, 18 yard line with a minute to go or whatever it was. And they started cuddling.
The Eagles are the much better team, and they won the game. But McVey, I said it at the time when they were looking for a head coach. I said I would hire Sean McVey because I think McVey is really, really a great young coach. They went with Shanahan. McVey went to L.A. Shanahan's good, but I think McVey's better. I know Shanahan's had. To me, McVey was the guy they should have hired. I mean, McVey was the guy.
Did they have the first shot? Did they hire?
Well, I mean,
Shanahan
John
before?
McVey was his grandfather. I mean,
right.
I would say they probably had a shot. And if he ever leaves the Rams, you can bet the Niners would call. But McVey went there, and I'm sure he's happy. He's won a ring there. They love him there. He's a great coach. I mean, he's a great coach. To me, Sean McVey is modern day Jimmy Johnson. He's that good of a coach.
Where do you think McVay's edge over Shanahan is? Like, what does he do better than Kyle, in your opinion?
Well, I think that he's had a better. I think he inherited a better team initially. I think, but then they also had a more aggressive plan. To like try to, because they felt like they needed to jumpstart the LA market and get their fan base back, and so they had a different kind of a plan. But what's he better at?
Didn't he hire a game clock management guy to help him out with? Whereas Kyle's kind of, we know Kyle's a little stubborn to ask for any kind of help. Didn't McVey hire somebody to help him out with that? So
I think Snead might be better than Lynch. I think maybe Snead might be a really key guy. Okay. I also think that when they did win the Super Bowl there, he had a real like a defensive head coach. Like he didn't do anything on defense. If you remember, McVey literally was back on the bench when the defense was on the field, a lot of times sitting there with the offense because he was just letting Wade Phillips run the show. So I think that's what he prefers. Now he's got a younger defensive coordinator in Shula, and Shula's obviously done an amazing job. I mean, they allowed 28 points today, but I mean, they had 7 sacks. 7 sacks is a lot of sacks. They had 6 hits on the quarterback. So,
do you think McVey? You think McVey commits to the running game more? We always talk about that when Kyle has a lead.
No, I think McVey has learned from Kyle. That he needs to be more committed to the run game. I think McVey is I think he just seems like his teams are always ready to go. They're always ready to go. And if they don't win, it's because they don't have the talent. I think he's had some years he's had the talent, but I mean, look, I mean they found in some ways McVey, it seems like, finds a way with Stafford. They get the ball in the hands of the guys that they want to have the ball in those moments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's using his personnel. It feels like McVay's calling shots where it feels like when you talk to Shanahan, it's like he has no connection to who touches the ball and who doesn't. It's all like in the stars based on coverage and this and that, and, the quarterback and reads. And like he has no control at all over who touches the ball and how much they touch it. And that is just false, categorically false. And it's like that's my frustration sometimes with Kyle Shanahan. I was frustrated when I asked Kyle Shanahan after Super Bowl 54, why did Deebo Samuel, who was the betting MVP or the MVP favorite at halftime of that game, I know because I looked it up, why did he only touch the ball twice in the second half as the betting favorite to win the MVP? After that overwhelming first half, he had 2 touches in the second half. This is a guy who you can hand it to or you can throw it to him. The fact that he didn't have 4 times that is inexcusable. And, of course, he was like, well, that's not how it works. That's what he said. It's not how it works.
Didn't the same thing happen in the NFC Championship game against the Rams? Like Deebo didn't touch the ball in the second half much either.
He didn't touch the ball in the final 13 minutes of the game.
He was the best player on the field that day.
Yeah. So the one, and then go back to that game, Niners-Rams, when the money was on the table and the NFC Championship was there to be won, and the Rams got the ball in the final drive of the game. Who did Stafford go to? Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. And the Niners go to on that 3rd and 1, I believe, was a fullback dive to Juice.
Was that game the NFC Championship where they lost to the Rams? Was that 21. the year they played the Rams and had to win the last game of the season to get into the playoffs?
Yeah.
And Deebo went crazy that game.
Yeah, they beat Dallas and they beat Green Bay.
And then this was going to be the 3rd game.
Doesn't then they were he try and get so cute sometimes and outsmart? Like, Deebo was the key to the game at the end of the regular season. I don't want to use them because they're thinking I'm going to go to him, so I'm going to go somewhere else instead of, because he does that a lot. He will try to outsmart the other
get the
team.
ball in the hands of your playmakers.
Yes.
I don't want to hear about any excuses. I want to see the ball in the. You know what I mean? Don't talk to me like I've never watched football before. I saw the Niners of the 80s. In Super Bowl 23, Joe Montana didn't go to Mike Sherrard. He went to Jerry. Okay? You know what I'm saying? They went to Craig. They went to Jerry. They didn't use Jerry as a decoy and go to somebody else.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Now, what do you guys think of this? Because it's interesting to me. I'm thinking about Dan Quinn, head coach. He had Super Bowl in Atlanta, the game that they infamously blew to New England. But I'm watching Dan Quinn as he coaches. He kind of, obviously he lets Cliff Kingsbury just run the offense. And then, he's got Joe Witt, his defensive coordinator. And even though Quinn's a defensive coach, he kind of gives his guys, hey, this is your job. I'll just manage the team and oversee as a head coach. Isn't that what some of your better head coaches tend to do? Is they manage the whole operation, but they give power to their guys that are in position, their coaches?
There's all kinds of examples of different structures and different ways that it's done. But, some head coaches are their offensive coordinators. Some coaches, Buddy Ryan, when I worked for the Cardinals and we had Buddy Ryan as our head coach, Buddy was the defensive coordinator. There was a defensive coordinator, but it was a young guy, and Buddy was the de facto. Buddy did all the plans, and Buddy had drew up all the schemes, and it was his defense, and he installed it and he taught it. So, but he was the head coach. Some head coaches are more like a Bobby Bowden, where it's like you're like an executive, and you have offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, and you're on the headsets for all of it, but you're not a play caller on any of it. I get the feeling Dan Campbell is kind of like a Bobby Bowden, right? He doesn't really call defensive plays. He doesn't call offensive plays. He's a former NFL tight end. He's got the offensive coordinator there, and he's got Aaron Glenn there. So he's just there to say, hey, yeah, we're going to go for it here on fourth down. No, we're not going to go for it here. We're going to go for the field goal and that kind of thing. So, but, and I like Dan Campbell, but it's just really hard to win in the NFL. It's like, that's it. The only thing I'll say is that people don't realize how hard it is to win in today's NFL. It's really harder. The competition's gotten better. There's no loopholes. There's no advantages. There's no secret anything. There's no innovative wrinkle that puts anybody above anybody else. And it really just comes down to, to me, I think, and this is something that we could do when we have more time, we could talk about it. But if you said, who are the best young teams right now in the NFL? And if I asked you that, who would you guys go with?
Young team, Green Bay.
Best young teams in the NFL. Best young teams in the NFL. Don't overthink
Green Bay is the youngest team.
Green Bay, Washington.
Rams.
The Rams. All NFC.
Washington got a lot of free agents, actually, so I don't know how young they are. But
the Rams are the second youngest team in the league, and Green Bay's the youngest.
I would say Detroit, because we just said a big part of their core was just drafted in the last couple of years.
Yep.
And I'd say Houston. They're a really young team too. It seems like with Stroud and Dell, and they got a lot of young guys. They added some veterans this year, but they got a lot of young guys on both sides of the ball. Well, what did those two teams have in common? They both made trades that netted them a large number of draft choices, and then they turned those draft choices into a core that's all grown up at the same time. So if you look at that Deshaun Watson trade, that's like a 13-player haul for the Texans. I mean, it's an amazing group of players that they got in return for Deshaun Watson. And if you look at the Matt Stafford trade, they got Goff, but they also got Jahmyr Gibbs and like 5 or 6 or 7 other players. And I'm looking at, at these teams, and I'm like, man, Detroit was a little banged up with Hutchinson and Montgomery not 100% and everything. But, man, they got a really good young team with a ton of young talent. And Houston, even though they lost to Kansas City, man, they got 2 great little rushers up front. They got great young linebackers. They got great corners. They got great receivers. They got a lot going. And it's like, that's how you do it, is like you make the trade where you trade away the quarterback, get a bunch of picks, and then execute on those picks while you go to a quarterback that you got for cheaper, or, you know what I mean? So what did those teams do? It's like Houston went to Stroud and made that trade, and the Lions went to Goff and made that trade. And they got a lot of value out of Stafford, and they got a lot of value out of Watson. And now you got 2 of these teams that are really good and really young. So I'm not saying that, trade Brock Purdy or anything, but I'm just saying you ought to be in the business going forward of looking for every year the next great quarterback and seeing if you can get them, and then seeing if you can turn them into a haul of some kind, because that's how you get ahead in the NFL. You only if you keep drafting one guy in the first round and one guy in the second round, you're just never going to get ahead of your compadres. But if you could somehow make a trade and you get, or trade back and you go for lower percentage picks, but you start hitting on your lower percentage picks, now all of a sudden you're lapping the field and you have adding more talent to your mix. Now you got a chance to kind of jump these other teams and build a better team. So it's going to be interesting to see what their plan is, but I do find it interesting that 2 of the best young teams in the game figured out a way to get a bunch of extra picks by trading a quarterback.
Yeah. I've been thinking as I watch a lot of the different teams in football, it seems like almost every team has a speedster at wideout, at least 1, if not 2. You watch Jamison Williams the other night run that reverse, and I'm just saying, that's just sick. And, you see this, and then you see Kyle draft Ricky Pearsall. And I'm wondering if Kyle's, I'm kind of thinking about how Buster Posey's building a team, and he says he wants to build it with defense and the type of team that he knew. Right? Kyle was a wide receiver at Texas, not very fast. Had Chris Sims as his quarterback. He was a possession type receiver. Did slants, a lot of just took catch, got hit, took hits, but he had pretty good hands as a receiver. I've seen some highlights of him. Does he draft players that he thinks, because that's all he knows, that are more like the way he thinks football players should be? Because I haven't seen a speedster at wide receiver the last guy was I'm forgetting his name all of a sudden, the guy that they got from the Broncos in 19 for the trade, Emmanuel Sanders thing. Okay, that was the last real receiver with speed that actually played consistently. Nobody's played since 19 that is a deep threat, but every team has them. Why does the Niners, why do they not have a deep threat? I don't get it.
Well, it's even more baffling than that, because I've asked Kyle Shanahan, how vital is a vertical threat to creating space in the pass game? And he's like, totally vital, absolutely important. It's really, really important because it creates space, and you need that space to be able to run underneath routes, and you have to have the ability to run off the top of the defense. If you don't, teams will defend you differently and blah, blah, blah. Of course, this is all. I mean, it's like it sounds football esoteric, but literally it comes down to this posture versus this posture or this posture. You know what I mean? If you have speed, you have to turn and be ready to run with the guy Tutu Atwell or whoever who's running by you. You have to literally turn your body and be moving that way. If the guy's got big speed, you have to at least be 50-50. It's almost like cheating on a fastball. You got to get the swing going earlier because he's coming, right? You're going to absorb that, and if you don't get ready to turn and go, he's going to blow right by you, and you're going to be burned for 6, right? So when you don't have that player, everybody's like this up on the line of scrimmage, and they're ready to hit you, tackle you, break down, because they're not worried about you running by. And it makes all the difference in the world. And if you watch the All-22, you'll see it on every single snap. When the Niners have a Jacob Cowing on the field, you'll see them make accommodations for how fast he is. And he's not that fast. He's like runs 4.38. Now, if you have a serious burner or player out there, like a Jameson Williams, who's like a sub 4.3 guy, sub 4.4 guy, but really, really fast and plays really fast, and they run him on a lot of deep routes. Yeah, you're going to know where that guy is at all times, and you're going to make sure that if you have a guy who's got a bum wheel or slow or old or whatever, that you don't get him matched up on their vertical threat. So yeah, I think especially this offseason, that's on the Niners, draft Christmas list, whatever you want to call it. They need that vertical threat to go along with what they got.
Did you find out why Cowing wasn't even playing really the last
just
two
lack
games?
of body strength and confidence, and he's working on his strength. He's at 170, 175 on his way to 185, 190, and he's got to get there first. And
where's Atwell?
He had a hard time keeping his feet.
Atwell can't be that big. How big's Atwell?
Atwell's also really small, but Atwell's also kind of, Atwell's a little different. I mean, also Atwell's way faster. I mean, Atwell's, I don't know what exactly Atwell's 40 time is because he ran kind of a slowish 40, but when you watch him out there, I would say he runs like a 4.30, 4.32. That's what he looks like. I mean, that's what he plays to.
And
he's a burner.
And the best defensive coordinators in the league, the Brian Flores, the Jim Schwartz, the Spagnolas, the ones that give Kyle problems that he doesn't have good records on, also know they watch the film. They watch the All-22. Obviously, that's their job. They know that Kyle's not going to throw. At some point, you can't just use a fast guy as a decoy. You have to throw to him once in a while. Even if you don't complete it, you have to make the safeties know that it's going to go there. And they just quite frankly say, don't even bother looking at the guy going deep. They're not going to throw it there. And the other thing I think is, the Niners have not had a really good offensive line. You have to have a good offensive line that can hold up in pass protection to get those deep routes completed.
Yeah. I mean, it's time for the Niners to invest in the defensive line or offensive line. Why? Because you got Jared Verse on the other side, and he's in your division. And he's one of the best young rushers in the game, and you are going to invest a lot of money in Brock Purdy. So let's really think about this. You're going to invest a lot of money in your quarterback. You might want to start getting real serious about your offensive line since the Rams are getting real serious about their defensive line, or your investment in your quarterback is going to be kind of a wasted investment.
Larry, is Abdul Carter the best player in the draft this year?
He's really good. He's really good. He's a little undersized for like a 4.3. Wide 9 defensive end. He was a stacked backer. To me, he's more of a 3-4 outside backer. He is a little freakish. He reminds me a little bit of a Micah Parsons.
He does.
But I don't think, I don't know that he's scheme versatile. Like, I don't know that he's what the Niners would be looking for in a 4.3 defensive end. The Niners typically like guys that are in that 260 to 270 range, and he's like 230. 235. So I think Mason Graham is the player that I think they really need on their front. They need to improve their tackles. What they really need to do is trade back. They need to trade back
this, Larry.
and
you
get
some
picks, extra picks.
You're talking about trading back. I heard you a couple days ago bring up the topic of Tennessee maybe giving the Niners a call for Brock Purdy. What percentage do you put that at? That not that happens, but that is a possible, like Tennessee actually has interest in doing that. And if that were to come about, do you think that would be wise for the Niners to do that, pick up one of the free agent quarterbacks and then trade back from one and just keep trading back and picking up tons of picks to have an 86 type draft?
Well, I think, first of all, if you're Tennessee, you got to canvass all your options. Two, it's a very difficult evaluation in this draft at quarterback at the top with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders and Jalen Milroe and Quinn Ewers. I think all four of those guys are going to go in the first round. So the question is, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Now, Milroe's got a strong body, and his processing's a little slower than some of the other quarterbacks. Some of the like the top quarterback, I think, in this draft is Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's the best. I like Cam Ward the best. I think by the time the draft rolls around, some people are going to like Milroe more than Sanders. Some people may like Ewers more than Sanders. I think Sanders is going to wind up falling. Was not impressed by Sanders in the bowl game. Now, he didn't play particularly well in that game, but I also saw him early in the year, and I didn't think he played particularly well. Cam Ward, I think, is spectacular. I think Cam Ward's going to go number one. Whether it's to, what team, I don't know, but I think he will go number one. But it's a tough evaluation, and I think if you're Tennessee, I don't think Tennessee would offer the first pick in the draft for Brock Purdy, but they could offer the first pick in the draft for Brock Purdy and the 11th pick in the draft, which the Niners have. Hey, we'll give you Purdy, or we'll give you the first for Purdy and 11. I could see that being kind of more fair compensation. Why? Because Brock Purdy's no risk, and he's really, really good, I think. But and then the question is, if you're the 49ers, if you did that, would you take Cam Ward number one? I might, because I really love Cam Ward. But there's also, you could then either start trading back down from one and get a bunch of picks, or you could go with an Abdul Carter or Mason Graham, or trade down a couple more picks or whatever. Go whatever player you want to target. You could do that, and then go after a Sam Darnold or a Zach Wilson or a Mac Jones. I mean, I'm reading right now, Russell Wilson and the Steelers may part ways. I mean, this is the most unique offseason in a long, long time, because there's going to be like 15 quarterbacks available. And so if Brock Purdy's agent says, hey, I want $65 million, and the Niners are like, hey, we'd rather pay you close to 40, and all of a sudden that could be an impasse. I mean, that's a big difference. So that to me is going to be really interesting. The 49ers say they're committed to paying the quarterback. The market, at the top of the market, it's not about who's the best quarterback. You think Jimmy Garoppolo was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL because he was the best quarterback? No. Was Dak Prescott paid $60 million because he's the NFL's best quarterback? No. It's not about, everybody's confusing who's best with who's the latest. It's all about who's free agent now and whose contract's up now. That's who gets paid the most. The guys who are up now, because the market keeps going up. So, yeah, the 49ers can say, well, we don't like the market, but they can't ignore that it exists.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be really interesting. They came out the other day and were really, really, really complimentary of Brock Purdy. I have to believe that, I'm hoping, but I have to believe that you don't make those statements if you're Lynch and Shanahan. Brock's going to be here a long time. And Shanahan's like, he's going to be the quarterback as long as I'm here. You don't say those things unless you've already exchanged some preliminary figures with Kyle Strongen, the agent for Brock Purdy, and have a pretty good idea of what it's going to take to sign him, and a pretty good idea if you're willing to pay that price. So, you know what I'm saying? It seems bizarre to me that they would be that complimentary, and then that it would be possible that they could be in like a situation that could lead to a holdout or some kind of fracture where they would move off of Purdy. They've made their intentions clear. They want to sign Purdy. But if they come back in the next thing and be like, well, now we've exchanged offers, and now it's like we're at an impasse because we want to pay him 45. Greg Papa on the radio said that he thinks the Niners would like to pay him closer to 45 or 50. And I'm sure they would. But I'm also sure that Kyle Strong and the agent is going to say, why the hell should he take a penny less than Justin Herbert, who makes like 52.4? So at the end of the day, to me, he's a $50 million quarterback. And not because he's great, because of the market and the way it is. I would say he's going to make between 50 and 55 million. That would be my guess. But if you told me that he's going to get north of 60, I wouldn't be totally shocked either, because that's the market.
Larry, think about this. It really comes down to the guarantee versus the AV. So he gets 5 years and 60 million at 300, and they guarantee like 150. They guarantee 2 years of it versus 45, times 5. And that's what, 225, but they guarantee 180, 190. In the end, isn't that what's most important, is the guarantee, because of the way the loopholes are in all these contracts?
Yeah, I mean it's the fully guaranteed. The stuff that's fully guaranteed.
The fully
That's
guaranteed.
the key number. The fully guaranteed number is the number that matters the most.
Right.
But I mean, I gotta think that they've mapped this out. They've rolled over the cash. I'm sure they've got a plan. I'm sure people are going to criticize their plan. That's all right. You can, the old saying, I mean, you can want something, but it's like all good negotiations leave both sides a little unhappy.
Are you, Larry, are you familiar with Brock's brother, Chuba?
Yeah.
I've run into him a few times, him and his dad here. I work out at the same gym that I do in AZ. So he's a big kid. I mean, I'm 6'2", and he's got a couple inches on me. He's a big kid. I was looking up his stats. Looks like he's a dual threat quarterback. Yeah, he's good. He's not starter material, but yeah, he's a big kid.
He's an athlete. Yeah, it's a family of athletes. But I mean, the one thing about Brock Purdy is I watched a lot of him in the last couple of weeks from this season, and to me, it was like that Kansas City game, Spagnuolo really sped him up, and then as the weapons started to, he was running around effectively early, and as the weapons continued to get hurt and disappear, his decision making became worse and worse, and he stayed aggressive, but he took too many chances, and he was too careless with the football, and his line, he was running for his life. His line wasn't good. His receivers didn't separate, and I just think overall, his degree of difficulty of the job was quite a bit harder this year than in the past. So they have to help him out. Get him some dynamic weapons. Yep. Go get him a couple big physical bodyguards up front that can keep the interior rush out of his face. Get some dynamic weapons so that he can get the ball out of his hand, and he'll make the right decisions. If he's playing behind a good line with great weapons, he'll make the right decisions. But that's where they start. This idea. I mean, yeah, is he the ideal guy? No. If you could do better, should you? Sure. But I haven't seen anybody. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. Is Russell better? Is Cousins better? Is Rodgers better? Is Hurts? Is Zach Wilson better? Is Mac Jones better? Is Justin Fields better? Is Russell Wilson? These are the guys. They're all available this offseason. Yeah, all these guys are going to be out there. Daniel Jones. You can have any single one of them. If you really think that there's like 15 or 16 available free agents that are not old and have starting experience, if you think one of those guys is better than Brock Purdy, then go for it. Then advocate for it. They're not of the mindset to do a big gamble. But to me, it would be interesting to see. I'd be interested to see, what a Zach Wilson would look like in this system, because he's coming into his own now, and he's got a good arm, and he does move well, and he's played on some bad teams.
They would have drafted Zach Wilson if they had this the second pick instead of the third that year, because the Jets had the second pick, took Wilson, and then they Niners took Lance. But didn't they? They
would have taken Zach Wilson. I'm pretty confident.
They would have taken Zach Wilson. So Kyle may. It's kind of interesting that he.
I know this too from talking to Steve Young, who knows Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson badly wanted to be a 49er.
Damn.
So now Wilson has been bad, and there's a lot of people that are super down on him even to this moment. I get it. But you know what? Some people only see things as they are, and they don't see things as they potentially could be. Right. And the same people that are skeptical about Zach Wilson being any good next year for the 49ers or anybody else are the exact same people that were skeptical of Sam Darnold being anything, or Baker Mayfield being anything, or Geno Smith being anything. And those reclamation project quarterbacks, there's more coming, man. There's going to be more guys who figure it out.
Yep.
So it's all about, can you find the right guy? It's all a risk, whether you go in the draft, whether you go in free agency, an old guy, a young guy. But guys do figure it out over time. So you got to decide, like, is Trey Lance a prospect or is Trey Lance a bust? Is Zach Wilson a prospect or is Zach Wilson a bust? Is Justin Fields a prospect or is Justin Fields a bust? I mean, you gotta figure it out, and there's a bunch of guys that are going to be available this offseason.
Don't forget your history, 49er fans. Steve Young was not a good quarterback at Tampa Bay. No. So, not saying Zach Wilson is Steve Young, but you get him out of New York. I think going from Salt Lake City, Utah to New York City kind of messed with his head, and it was not a good team. But his talent is there. I would love Zach Wilson to come to the Niners.
Yeah, he's got arm.
Yeah, he's mobile and has got a good arm.
Fuji says, Los, don't forget Salt Lake City is a spot Gail Miller, Ryan Smith, and D. Wade have for years planned a bid for Major League Baseball team while Sox rumbling to Nashville. I forgot to get that one up. And Waylon Crawford says, I know 49ers need offensive linemen and defensive linemen, but I am a fool for wanting them to draft Penn State tight end number 44, Tyler Warren.
He's a stud. But I like the tight ends that Larry talked about on his show that you can get later on in the draft and not be quite as good as Tyler Warren, but they're damn good themselves, especially the Notre Dame
Tyler
kid.
Warren is Gronk. But I like Mitchell Evans. I like Harold Fannin. There's a bunch of guys. Jalen Conyers. This is a great tight end draft, by the way. Some guy in the chat here on the bottom also says, great one here, says, I don't understand how Larry can glaze Wilson but is down on Fields. Wilson, first of all, didn't play well with the Jets, but that's the Jets. Wilson had a 300-yard passing day, I believe, against the Chiefs, and has shown glimpses of his game.
Yep.
Fields got an incredible opportunity with the Steelers early this year, and I watched several of their games. Justin Fields does not see it. He doesn't see it. I don't know what it is that other guys do see, but he doesn't see it, and you can tell because he doesn't hit anybody in stride. He holds the ball forever, and Pittsburgh yanked him even though they were winning because he was playing so poorly, and then Russell Wilson came in and badly outplayed him. So,
Larry, I
don't know what to say about Justin Fields. He's a great athlete. He's a great athlete.
Before we get out of here, let me ask you this. You're running the draft. You're Adam Peters or John Lynch. You got the 11th pick. What could you do by trading back and picking up? Could you realistically trade back a couple times from 11 and end up around 20 and pick up 2 extra number 2s in the draft?
Sure. Easily.
I
mean, when you're moving, if you're going to move from 11, the spots are really coveted at the top of the draft. So if you move from 11 to 15, you could probably pick up somebody's second round pick.
Okay.
If you moved from 11 to, You could. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to drop
Let's
to?
say you go twice. You go 11 to 15, and then 15 comes up. You trade that back to 20.
Danny, you know what you got to get? Because I love setting Danny up with things that I know are going to take tons and tons of time away from the Lumpia. You got to print out.
Today.
You got to go print out the draft pick. Just Google draft pick trade chart. And then what you do is you can see what it is the numbers have to add up together. So if the first pick is 1,000 and you're going to trade it, and then every pick has a number on this chart. So then you can see what it adds to before it adds to so it's equal. And some teams will trade beneath equal, and some teams want more than value, but it will give you a valuation on every pick in the draft, and you can see what it would add to. So if you have enough capital to get up, and then of course you can always add players to the mix.
That's what Jimmy Johnson was known for, is his chart and draft and values. And
yeah,
the Cowboys can thank the Minnesota Vikings for their dynasty, because they gave up a boatload for Herschel Walker.
Totally. And that's, but it's funny, that trade gets talked about over and over again, but in reality, the Deshaun Watson trade is even bigger than that trade. The Deshaun Watson trade is like 13 total players or something. It's a ton. The Deshaun Watson trade, if you see it on paper, blows the Herschel Walker trade out of the water. It's amazing, really.
Wow. So I mean, we'll find out a lot more as the season ends after the Super Bowl. There'll be I'm sure the Niners will hopefully make a decision on DC before then. But is there somebody in the chat, and I can't remember, it was very early on, they mentioned something about why don't the Niners go after some of the other defensive coaches from Kansas City, like their linebackers coach. I can't remember who it was.
I would
in
love
the chat
that.
and say and look at them as their defensive
The guy's name's
coordinator.
Merritt, I think.
Would that be something that, I mean, people?
Oh, you totally can. I mean, you totally can if you want to. The only thing is that anytime, these guys work 100 hours, so they're really, really. You say, why do these guys always hire their friends? They hire their friends because they're going to spend a ridiculous amount of time together.
Yeah.
If I told you hire somebody, and then I told you, oh, by the way, the person that you hire is going to be following you around 24/7 for 20 days out of the month, you're going to take much more. You're going to make sure you hire somebody you really like. If it's somebody that's going to be with you and somebody you can be around for, you're not going to hire Alan Dershowitz, even though he's really smart. You know what I mean? You're going to sit there and have Alan Dershowitz follow you around him. You'd be like, oh my God, get rid of this guy. But you know what I'm saying? You're going to hire somebody that's easygoing, right? And the same way these guys, it's not always about like the best. It's about, hey man, I coached with this guy in Atlanta and we vacationed together in Cabo, and I know this guy's wife knows this guy's wife, and it's more than just who's got the best scheme. It's kind of like I used to complain about when Dusty had Sonny Jackson as his third base coach, and the Giants got like 27 guys thrown out at home plate, and I'm like, why? What? This guy's this is the worst third base coach of all time, and it's like, Gary used to laugh at me. He's like, yeah, Sonny and Dusty are buddies from way back. It's like, is he the best third base coach that ever walked? No, but he's Dusty's buddy, And so Gary and I used to have fun with that. Yeah, those there, you just hire your buddies. So there's a little truth in it, to be honest.
There's a lot of truth to it, and I get it. But like to justify keeping Sorensen, that could completely backfire because their special team sucks and he's not very good. So if they're going to continue to operate at 66.7 capacity because they don't focus on special teams as 1/3, I don't know. It's a lot to overcome.
No, you can't. They're going to have to get serious across the board.
Yeah.
Guys, I gotta jump because I gotta get up early tomorrow. I'm doing a live stream tomorrow at 9, so I got the quick turnaround.
All right. Right before the inauguration day tomorrow and Martin Luther King Day, all in one tomorrow. So it's
That's right. Big day. Big day.
Big day tomorrow.
all right, Larry.
National championship as well.
Championship. Notre Dame. I think.
Quick pick on. I got the Irish. I got the Irish in the upset.
Wow. I'm going Ohio State, man. Ohio State.
I mean, I'll take the 9.5 points for sure. But
I like Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to cover that.
Well, I'm a Sacred Heart guy. You know I'm going to go for the Irish.
If Ohio State
they are
wins,
good though. Notre Dame's well coached.
If Ohio State wins it all, does Ryan Day leave and take a head coaching job in the NFL if he's offered one?
I don't know. I
don't think so.
To me, he seems like a college coach.
Me too. Well, I think he's going to stay.
Interesting. All right, Larry.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Larry.
Morning, man. We'll see
Good
you
to
tomorrow.
see you guys. Have a great one. We'll talk soon. Take care.
All right, take care. All right. There he is. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap this up ourselves, Los. This is one of our longest. This was 2 shows. This was more than 2 of our shows. This is 3 hours and 34 minutes. We usually go an hour and 15. This is, 2.5. This is almost 3 shows.
I will be emailing you some overtime.
Overtime.
No, it was a good show.
Before we leave, guys, I want to tell you about our new sponsor. And let me pull up the logo right here. It's Better in the corner, BETR. Check this out, guys. It's our official daily fantasy sponsor of NorCal Sports Network. Click on the link in the description or download the app and enter the promo code NCSN. That's right, NCSN. You get a deposit match up to $250 plus a free pick. So with the NFL playoffs going, the NBA happening, you can do some fantasy picks and you can triple your money. It's pretty fun, guys. You got to give it a shot. Go ahead and download BETR, up to $250 match. So you put in $250, they'll give you $250 free to play with. So plus a free pick. So hey, if you only want to put in $20, they'll give you $20 to match. But little fun thing to go. BETR, put in the promo code NCSN or click on the link in the description of this video. All right, guys. This is fun. A lot of stuff we covered, man. We covered baseball tonight, Giants, and we got a lot of the NFL. I love the NFL draft, Los. I don't know about you, but I love as it gets closer and draft day. I want to see the Niners trade back a few times, and there's a lot of good players. There's a lot of good offensive linemen, a lot of good tight ends. There's just
I tell you, I love doing my studying and watching videos, but I get so frustrated when it comes to draft day because the Niners always pass on guys I like, and they always have reaches in the early rounds, and I'm just like, not that they should listen to everything I say. Who am I? But I'm just saying, like, God, you passed on Frazier, you passed on this guy, and like when they took Pearsall's, like, okay, you picked a wide receiver there, and there were other guys better on the board. Keon Coleman, McConkey.
They passed on Zach Frazier. A center is so foundational, really. If you think about it, Los, we talk about the tackles all the time as being huge, and the guys in the middle, you got to have great guards. But the center is kind of like the center fielder in baseball. I agree. He's the shortstop in the middle, in the infield, right? He's the guy he's calling the plays for the offensive line. Remember when Alex Mack came in here? And then, we had Jesse Sapola for years. And wasn't Jesse Sapola the center? Yeah.
He was a center and a guard. He was drafted in the 11th round in 83.
Yeah. But the center is so crucial to, setting up the offense, calling out, hey, here they're going to blitz here or whatever, get 74. It's
Kyle's kind of odd in that he likes veterans as his center. Like he traded for Mac, and he traded for Weston Richburg, I believe. Gave him a lot of money. He likes veterans because it's Kyle. We know his reputation. He's not crazy about putting young guys in right away unless people get hurt. So it's almost like he doesn't trust a young guy at center to make the calls on the line. But Larry's right. Larry was all over Zach Frazier, and then I started studying him, and I like the kid from Oregon, JPJ. And you just want some size at center because Purdy is a guy that needs to step up and make throws. He can't make those 20, 30, 40-yard throws off of his back leg on a rope. He needs to step into it. And if you can't do that when your center is getting pushed around, and that's why none of us understood why Brendel kept his job all year long. So I'm with you.
I like that Creed Humphrey a few years ago that Kansas City got him now.
Yep.
I mean,
Kansas City does it right.
I'm kind of like, I've heard Larry say this. I like a center that's wrestled because they're tough. You wrestle, you know how to
place your hands and move guys and get leverage. So I'm with you. There's a lot of good linemen in this draft, but if they do go line, they'll probably go tackle before they go center. But you can get a good center in the second and third round. Just don't ignore it.
Who do you think will be on the board as the center? Do you think? I mean, the top three tackles on the board really are Will Campbell, Calvin Banks, and Josh Simmons are the top.
Who's the third? Who's the third one?
Josh Simmons, Ohio State. He's a 6'5", 310 kid.
I think all three will be there at 11. And
really, you think who would you rather have, Banks or Campbell?
I started liking Banks first, but the more I watch Campbell, he's kind of nasty. I like nastiness in my tackle. So maybe him. And maybe you can trade down if you take a risk and a gamble. Maybe you trade back from 11 to like 16, and you still get one of those three tackles, and you get a second rounder on top of it. And that's what me, Larry, and you were talking about the Niners doing is you got a lot of holes to fill. So if you have three guys that you like, don't be stubborn and just take one at 11. If somebody calls you and you go back only 4 or 5 spots and you get a second or a third rounder, preferably a second, and you get one of those tackles. I think where the Niners really get into trouble, and I know Kyle has his fingerprints all on it, is he just lasers in on one guy, and he has to have him. There's no backup plan. Like, okay, if we don't get him, if we don't get Ricky Pearsall, we'll get McKenke. Oh, gee, that's so horrible. He's a better player. Yeah, I think
it's funny how he does that too. Because how many times have we seen them?
He reaches.
Trades up for a guy. He's got his mind on him, and he moves up to get Joe Williams. He moves up to get
C.J. Beathard.
Yeah, he moved up to get the other running back out of
Trey Sermon.
Trey Sermon, and then the guy's gone.
Ty Davis Price.
And he gets these guys. And everybody always says, "Whoa, that was a big reach because you could have got him in the 4th or 5th round."
That's why I want Kyle out of the draft room. I don't think he evaluates talent very well.
I mean, he gets his. I mean, like he had Pearsall. I mean, that was a shocker last year, Pearsall. I mean, nothing against Pearsall. Fine, he could be a fine young player.
He may be a good player, but you didn't need a 4th-string wide receiver at the time. Because Ayuk was healthy at the time. You needed a center or a right tackle. And
I'm liking these tackles, man. I'm looking at there's some big guards in there. The guy from Georgia, Tate Ratledge.
You know what's gonna happen, Dan. Like again, we're gonna all be geeked up thinking, okay, this is the year, and they're gonna get to their pick, and they're not gonna trade back, and they're gonna take a wide receiver at 11, or they're gonna take a running back at 11, or
no.
They are not gonna take it off.
Don't take the tight end either because.
Or they'll take a defensive tackle that had like 2 sacks in college and you could have had somebody equivalent like in the 5th round. That's what the Niners do, and that's why they've been passed by these other teams. So, yeah, I agree with Larry. This is such a huge draft for the Niners. They have to hit on
I
it
mean, football
big
players,
time.
they're getting better and better. I mean, Texas's line last year, they've got 3 of the top guys. They got 2 tackles that could go early in the first round. And then they got this center who's the number 1 center, Jake Majors. I love what this summary on him is. A technician with a nasty, which you like, disposition.
Mm-hmm.
This pivot possesses the tools to compete for playing time in an NFL offensive line room from day one. That's what you like is a guy with that kind of nastiness. I want a center who's nasty. I want guys that are like Trent Williams that knock people over.
And if they don't draft the center, the kid from the Falcons, Dahlman, whose father played with the 49ers, is the best free agent center out there. And if the Niners,
Atlanta.
Yeah, with Atlanta. If the Niners got him, I'd be ecstatic. He's a really good football player and he's got good size. So yeah, a lot of things to consider.
All right, guys. Hey, we already did the better. All right, guys, we are out of here. This was a very, very long show. I did not expect to go long tonight. So we'll end it with a little music and we're out of here. We will see you sometime tomorrow. Check out the videos that come out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night.